comic book people discussing comic book superheroes, and there's like this entire thing where they talk about how Superman is boring and unrelatable, and Batman is much better because he's much more human and more relatable. Is it just me, or does this sound like bullshit? Batman is human, at least technically, but he's also a billionaire that can do whatever he wants. He has peak physical performance. He doesn't need to sleep 8 hours a day. He knows everything. He's super smart. Has amazing free will, and I'm just like, it doesn't feel that human to me. And it's really weird because there are many other heroes that do feel human, even if they're alien, even if they have some crazy origin, you know? Characters that make mistakes and they actually need to learn to be like good people, because most people are good people. We don't want to fuck up. We don't want to do bad things. But being good is really hard. Batman knows how to be a good person. Batman has like an unflinching moral code. And it's really easy to be good when you don't like need anything. But for normal people, it's much harder. We can be selfish. We can fuck up, and it's just a hassle. But we can decide to be good anyway, and we can decide to be good people. And you don't need to be Batman. You don't need to be this super guy that's great at doing everything to be a hero. You can just try your best and try to make the world a better place. That makes you a hero already. So this video, as you might have guessed, is about Booster Gold. If you have never heard of him, that's the entire point. I'm going to be explaining his story through the timeline of the DC universe, and I will be doing a character analysis later. But first, before you commit yourself to be watching this extremely long video, I should probably explain to you why should you care? Why should you give a shit about motherfucking Booster Gold? Well, why do I give a shit about Booster Gold? I actually started reading this because I saw people talking about the character. And he's essentially like some kind of corporate superhero. He is a superhero because he wants fame, he wants money, he wants to have advertisements, he wants to be paid to be talking about stuff, and he wants to be famous, he wants to have it all. And it really surprised me because this kind of character, you could put him unchanged in The Boys and he would fit. Like, this is a character from the 80s and it feels so contemporary. I think that Booster Gold could have saved the DCU if they did a movie on him. So I decided to actually read Booster Gold, and what I found was a very human character, a very compelling story, and the thing about him is that he ends up, being the hero that holds the universe together, holds time. He fixes time issues. He saved his more powerful colleagues multiple times, but nobody can know about it. It's a secret. He's the greatest hero you've never heard of. And the journey of, such a celebrity wannabe to being like a genuinely selfless hero is very interesting, and I do want to share this with you because I think that at this point we kind of have a saturation on superheroes, but also a saturation on anti-superheroes. Because you have Superman, everyone knows Superman, he's a good guy, he knows how to save people, he's selfless, and then the people say, hey, I'm going to do something unique, something new, I'm going to do an anti-Superman, which is exactly the same character, but he's evil. And it's not that much more interesting, to be honest. If your criticism of Superman is that he's a one-note character, you're just inverting him. You're not adding more complexity, just replacing the word good with evil. If you want to do a more complex superhero, if you want to show them as more human, as more fallible, you gotta do exactly that. You gotta show a guy that's just human. You don't just do an invincible evil guy. You show someone that knows the complexities of trying to be a good person, that has desires that are not necessarily for the greater good, and you work with that character, which is why I was interested in Booster Gold, because he is a parody, he is a commentary on superheroes that was written 40 years ago, before it even became relevant, and he feels like a much more fresh take on all of this, and he is going to get his own show under the James Gunn DC universe, so I wasn't the only person who noticed this. They are going to take advantage of the character and how much he can bring to the table. And since the show is coming out, then, I can do this video explaining exactly what the character is, so people that watch the show can come here and give me views. I mean, helping people, but also having some kind of monetary gain with this is the most Booster Gold thing I could possibly do. So without further ado, let's actually explain Booster Gold, what's his origin, what he is. I'm going to explain you the timeline, and let's see if you can make it gay under 8 minutes. Booster Gold was created by a guy named Dan Jurgens, and he debuted in Booster Gold, the comic. He had his own comic in 1986. And I do recommend reading this comic because it is actually genuinely pretty good. You have this character that is Booster Gold, and he is a sellout. He does a lot of advertisements, he gets a lot of corporate sponsorships, and his powers are that he can fly, he has a suit that can project energy shields, and he can, shoot energy and shit. He has a robot named Skits that is essentially his partner. He's really cute, I like him. And we don't know his origins from the beginning, we just know that it's a little weird. He talks about, I need to learn the lingo, I need to learn all the slangs, and oh man, I lost everything, I don't have a family anymore. Did something tragic happen to this character? And he's trying to run away from it? Did he had a tragic accident and lost everything, and that motivated him to giving his life to protect other people as a superhero? No. What happened was basically this. His name is actually Michael Carter, and he is from the 25th century. He used to be a football player, he went to university with a scholarship, and he was very famous. His nickname was Booster because he was very good at football. But he started betting on his own games, and he got fired. He got kicked out of the university, and he left in disgrace. And he became a security guard in Metropolis in the museum that had a wing for superheroes. And he was like, oh man, being a superhero must be so cool. You must be really famous. People must love you. And he was like, hey, I have a bunch of superhero equipment here. I have a time travel machine in this museum. Why don't I just steal everything and go back in time to be a superhero? And he does that. And he also kidnaps Keats, which was a security droid from the museum. Yeah, he stole everything and he is pulling a con. That's Booster Gold. And he went back in time, and now he has superpowers from the technology that he stole from the museum, and he's living the high life. So this comic is really good. I do recommend reading, as I said, because not only it shows Booster Gold as being like a really flawed character that is in it for the money, that wants press attention, and he wants everything that's the good and the best, but also he isn't a bad person. Like, he doesn't want to hurt people. He actually wants to save them. He wants to help them. He sees something bad going on. He will step in to help. Sometimes in a bad way, as Superman learned, but he tries his best, and he needs to learn how to be a good hero. Okay, so what's important about this run that you need to learn? Okay, there was this story that he needed to go back to the 25th century because he started having like this weird disease and they needed to heal it. And what happened is that basically he had his shields up all the time because he was fearing sneak attacks, and the shield messed up with his immune system. He couldn't get used to the diseases of the 21st century. 20th, it's the 80s, sorry. And the batteries eventually died and he got exposed and now he's sick and needed to go back to the 25th century. By the way, he isn't prescient. Booster Gold doesn't know everything that happens in the 20th century because there's a large gap in historical data because a nuclear war happened, and that's why the future doesn't look so great because they had to rebuild a lot of shit. And when he goes back to the 25th century, he gets found out and sentenced to death because he stole a fucking time machine. And he ends up bringing his sister back to the past with him because his sister is also being wanted for helping him. And his sister actually dons the suit that someone else builds, has magnetic powers, she goes flying, she's having a great time, but she ends up being kidnapped and Booster Gold goes to save her, except that he can't do it. She dies and he's really upset about it. But I want to take a moment to talk about the upcoming series because it's probably going to adapt the original comic. And there are a few things that I'm kind of concerned about in the series. Like, first of all, I am concerned that the image that they used was the pinnacle Booster Gold image. I love it, everyone loves it, but I want them to do the color. I love the color. I don't understand why they took it away. The color is so stylish. But the most importantly, when they announced the series, they started talking about how it's going to be like a character study. And like, fine, Booster Gold is a good character. You could do a character study about him. But they started talking about imposter syndrome, and I don't understand what they're trying to say with that. Guys, you can't have imposter syndrome if you're an imposter. You can't. And that's what Booster Gold is. He stole all his shit. He doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he's just doing it for the con. He wants money, he wants fame. Booster Gold doesn't have imposter syndrome, at least not until very late, and even then I don't think he does. You know what Booster Gold does when he gets doubt, when he suffers something? He doesn't doubt himself. He actually becomes more of an asshole. He starts saying, well, I suffered a lot, I suffered too much, now I'm going to be selfish, now I'm going to get more things that are mine. I'm going to get the things that I deserve. It's what he does. It's what he constantly does in the comics. And wow, Laura, don't you think that's a little bit too harsh on Booster Gold? And no, it isn't. You know why I'm harsh on him? Because he can take it. Because he can be a good person. He can improve. But you're not doing any favor to his character by being all babying him, saying like, oh man, because of imposter syndrome, you don't get recognized for being the hero that you are. Like, motherfucker, man, like, if you just start out by saying, oh, he has imposter syndrome, that's just a boring take on the character. Why can't characters be assholes? Why can't characters just do bad shit and learn from their mistakes, man? Who's writing this? Tom King? It's, I don't know, it doesn't matter, the series isn't out yet, maybe I'm yelling about anything, maybe they just talked about imposter syndrome because it's vogue now, so, who cares, let's talk about something else. Okay, so there's like this event that's called Millennium, and Sorry guys, Millennium sucks. It's so bad. I don't want to talk about it. Nothing matters anyway. The only thing that you need to learn from Millennium is that Booster Gold is poor now. He doesn't have any money. His agent stole everything, and he needs to be full-time with the Justice League International now. That's all you need to know. So, what is Justice League International? DC wanted to make a new Justice League comic book, which is fine, but they couldn't use Superman, couldn't use the Flash, couldn't use Wonder Woman. This sounds really stupid, but this happened multiple times. They tried to write Justice League comic books where you couldn't use the fucking Justice League. But they could use other heroes. They could use Captain Atom, Blue Beetle, Rocket Red. So the writers looked at it and said, okay, none of the big majors, A-leaguers are available for this. Just these characters that nobody cares about, they can do shit. Let's make it funny. And they did. They made it funny. It's really enjoyable read. You know that joke from that Red Letter Media review?
Can you imagine the look on his face when he opened the door and is all like, I'm a fucking badass, and then he's like, oh, how do you close these doors? Is it this button? Okay, there it goes.
Yeah, they did that. They did it in the comic. It's really funny. I think that this comic has my favorite panel of all time. They were in this airship and they were being chased by a bunch of missiles. Batman says, we need to ram the building. And Blue Beetle says, what? Book fuel can't melt steel beams. Oh yeah, by the way, before we go on, I need to tell you who Blue Beetle is. So Blue Beetle is originally a character from Charleston's comics. He was an architect that went digging and found this blue scarab that gave him magic powers. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna be Blue Beetle now. I'm gonna punch bad guys. And he does that. He punches bad guys. Except that there was one day that a former student of his named Ted Cord, he came on and said, hey, I accidentally helped my uncle build a bunch of killing robots to take over the world. Can you help me? And Blue Beetle said, okay, sure. And then they went to the island where the robots were. He fought everyone, but then he got really hurt. He was dying. So he said that Cord, listen man, you gotta keep the Blue Beetle legacy alive. You need to become the new Blue Beetle. And Ted Cord was like, yeah, okay, sure. And this was born Blue Beetle 2.
When you need some help, he'll save the day. With a stroke like gun, he's on the way. Friends, everyone but the villain. A hero flying his trusty bug.
Anyway, that Cord couldn't make the Beetle work on him, so he had to fight crime using his wits. Because he's like a genius inventor, he made a lot of stuff. He made the bug that's like this airship that the JLI uses to travel a lot, and he has like a BB gun, and he's good at fighting. He's essentially a mix between Batman and Spider-Man. He's a CEO of a corporation, he's really rich, and he's good at fighting crime, but he's also really funny about it. He has a good sense of humor. And DC ended up buying the Charleston Comics characters and incorporated them in the DC universe after Crisis of Infinite Earth. And Blue Beetle is now in the DC universe, and he's a part of the JLI. Whether or not he is a competent CEO and is rich is completely dependent on the writer, by the way. In the JLI, he's broke because he couldn't keep up with his company because he spent too much time Blue Beetling. So you're now wondering, Laura, who cares about this character? Who cares about... Nobody cares about that card. Why are you explaining this? Well, because Booster cares. They're such good friends that even after Booster leaves to join the conglomerate, they are still in the top corner of the comic book being pals. They do have a lot of history together, they do a lot of jokes together, they do a lot of adventures, and it ends up culminating in a 20-page gay sex scene. It's very explicit and very steamy. It was great. Now the question remains, like, should you read the JLI? That depends. So I've seen people getting pissed off that the Blue Beetle is treated as a joke in the JLI. I will defend more the JLI later, but for now I will say I am very chill with comic book characterizations. I actually don't think that the Gift was that bad of a Booster Gold characterization. I thought that Human Target was actually worse. I'm a Riddler fan, and I like enjoying other interpretations of the Riddler. See, Riddler fans are like, oh my god, because this comic did bad, oh, because the Riddler's like that. Guys, you gotta, when you read comic books, especially American superhero comic books, you gotta embrace it, you know? Like, you're talking about characters with decades of history, and that went through multiple writers. It's the part of the charm. And I don't mind that some characters were more of jokes or they were more silly, because it ends up being a part of them, you know? A lot of people say, oh, because the JLI is useless. And like, who cares? It's not real. They're not like actually saving the world. I'd rather read about like a Justice League that's fun, that I enjoy reading, than about a Justice League that's competent in their made-up world. Like, none of this is real. Oh my god, because Booster and Beetle, they use League funds to build a casino on Kui Kui Island. Like, it's not real. It's funny. It was funny. It was funny when Guy Gardner, like, pulled the taxi driver and took a date to a porno cinema. That was funny. But I do understand if you don't want to read that you want to take characters seriously, you want to actually see like gritty stuff, consequences in your comic book. In that case, do not read the JLI, because that is not for you. But if you do read the JLI, I do recommend reading everything, as hard as it may be, because it actually goes through multiple writers, and they do a lot of interesting things with the characters. As I said, they show a lot of facets of each character. So characters may come off as a joke, but they actually develop and they become better people. And the JLI actually become really good friends, you know, and this couldn't have happened if there wasn't all that enmity. They bicker, they fight, they punch each other. It happened in the JLI, and the fact that they work together anyway, that they learn to appreciate each other, it's made better by that. So if you want to see good characters and actually develop, and I do recommend you reading the entirety of the JLI, as hard as it may be. I will talk about that later. But first, I want to take a moment to talk about Superbuddies era, because here's the thing. I'm going to talk about everything that happened chronologically except for the Superbuddies era, because it's going to ruin the entire video. You're going to see why later. So, the Superbuddies era was later on, when everyone just left the JLI, and Maxwell Lord, that was the guy that set up the JLI in the first place, decided to do a new group called Superbuddies that were, you know, more accessible superheroes. There are essentially two stories that are formerly known as the Justice League, and I can't believe it's not the Justice League, and those stories are the worst thing I have ever read in my life. This is not a joke, this is not an exaggeration, this is the worst thing I have ever read in my life. The characters are really off, like, in case you're wondering, Booster Gold's now an idiot, he's a moron. Like, I'm not saying that, oh, he's really stupid. Like, you can't, like, there's a point that Blue Beetle says, oh my god, he's left unaccompanied. Like, the guy can't walk around without fucking something up. But that's not the reason why I decided not to finish reading this. It was the dialogue. Dialogue fucking sucked. It was bad. It was really bad. Like, the characters talk, but they don't listen to each other. There was like this shockingly sexist scene that Sue Dibney, that's the wife of the elongated man, she was really upset about a thing, and everyone's like, oh my god, she has the hormones, I think she's pregnant, which honestly it's not that, which is shocking because the comics, the JLI actually shot down this joke years before this comic went on, and like she keeps telling people that she's not pregnant, and nobody listens. It's weird. It's tiring. There's like this joke that happens all the time that a character references something or says a long word. Everyone, no, you don't know this word. Why do you know this word? It happens constantly. I think that I quit reading this because all the heroes get sent to hell, and the robot brings up a monkey paw. You know that story, because you make a wish and the monkey paw finger curls and the wish comes true in the worst way possible. You know that story, that became part of natural English vernacular. Like, everyone was saying, oh my god, you don't know the story, you didn't read it, it's stupid. And I don't know, I just quit. It was a black hole of passion, honestly. Probably wondering, is this really the worst thing I have ever read? Because when I'm going to talk more in this video about when something stupid happens, I'm like, oh my god. I do stuff like that, but I am relatively calm, I'm a little exasperated, but I'm relatively calm. And yeah, that's because this comic book is a black hole of passion. And I don't say that I don't feel anything about it, because I don't feel anything about a blank wall. I look at the blank wall and I don't feel anything. This comic is a black hole of passion. It sucks out of passion. Like in Dungeon Meshi, there's like a demon that eats your desire, and then you eat your desire and don't feel desire anymore. You just lay it down. It's like, oh, you don't feel anything anymore. You don't feel desire. That's what this comic did to me. I was in a row reading all these comics. I read the entirety of 52 in one day while having a headache. I didn't understand half the shit going on, but I was like, yeah, man, I gotta read it. And I didn't care anymore after reading this. I didn't care about Booster Gold. I gave up on making this video. I went to bed early. I rewatched Moonlight. It took me a couple of days for me to get back to reading comics. It was really weird. This never happened to me before. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Superbuddies fucking sucks. And I'm going to ignore everything, and I mean everything that this comic sets up. It didn't happen, okay? It didn't happen. So, back to Justice League International. What is Booster Gold doing in this meantime? Well, he's doing jokes, he's trying to get money with Blue Beetle, his BFF, his best pal, and he ends up feeling kind of disrespected, and he leaves to a thing called the Conglomerate, which is another superhero team that's forming up by Maxwell Lord's ex-wife, and they're doing the Justice League thing, but more corporate and more money hungry. And I don't know what happens later, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know everything that happened during this time, because it's really hard to read. Justice League International ends up dividing into two teams, the Justice League branch of Europe and the Justice League America. It's not Justice League of America, it's Justice League America. There's a difference. There are certain stories that they kind of team up and need to read Justice League America, Justice League Europe, Justice League America, Justice League Europe. It's really confusing. And at some point, they create a Justice League task force. I think that Justice League Europe becomes Justice League International again. There's this character that DC Comics created that's called General Glory. And it's obviously a parody of Captain America. It's a character that Guy Gardner likes very much. And Guy Gardner sees on the TV that they are auctioning the #1 comic of General Glory, and he's a super big fan of the guy. So he goes to the comic convention to auction it and to buy it. And there's this really old guy that really wants this comic. And Guy ends up having to pay $5,000 for it dipping into league funds. He's really pissed off. He goes home, but the old guy follows him. He's like, man, I need to see this comic. Let me read it. Like, no, fuck off. I bought it. It's mine. I'm an asshole. I'm not gonna let you see it. The guy's like, no, I'm going to pay you the $5,000 if you let me see it. And the old guy sees it, remembers the words that General Glory said, and he ends up becoming General Glory again. Because what happens is that he went in an accident and he lost his memory. He didn't remember how to recover his powers. I want to become General Glory again, but I don't remember the words, and I don't have the comic book here to see it. The point being that comic books are so hard to read that it was literally a plot point. It sucks, man. I hate comic books. I hate superhero comic books. I hate that I have to put in effort to consume this crap. I hate this. I genuinely don't know what happened with the whole conglomerate thing. My guess here, what I do know is that then Jurgens comes in. So what I am assume happened is that he wanted to write his baby boy again, and back again. Booster is back. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't question it. Also, there's like this thing where Blue Beetle is out of shape and he feels useless and he gets fired from Justice League. They really rip into the guy. They say, oh, you're stupid, you're ugly, I'm gonna kill you, give me $20. And he leaves and he can't join the conglomerate and he's into a really big depression. I assume he got out of it somehow, maybe in a comic that I didn't read. But as far as I'm aware, Dan Younger just snaps his fingers and said, Blue Beetle is competent now again, don't worry about it. So that just happened. Let's see, what do I have to talk about more in the JLI? Yeah, there was the death of Superman. That's a thing that happened. It was really funny. I loved it. What happens is that Superman was, spearheading the group for a while, and he was doing an interview talking about the JLI. And meanwhile, the JLI was helping with a fire, and everyone's like, man, a creature just came here, smashed everything. Like, let's find this creature. They go into the bug, and they see path of destruction, and they see the creature, and this creature beats the shit out of everyone. He's just like immensely powerful. He punches Booster Gold and he just goes flying. Because of his shield, he's fine, but Superman catches him like, what is going on here? And Booster Gold says, what is this? Some kind of doomsday? And yeah, the creature's name is Doomsday now, and everyone is fucked up. Like, Guy Gardner can't even see because his face is so puffy. And Superman's like, okay, let's use our rays. And then they use their rays. It doesn't work. And everyone gets knocked out. Everyone's fucking dying. Blue Beetle fucking dead. And Superman needs to punch out this creature. And it's really funny because there were like, I had to read like 6 other volumes of this. Like, it started in Justice League America, and then it went to Superman, and Superman was like fighting him and fighting, and then it went to Adventures of Superman, and he kept fighting the creature, and then it went to Action Comics, and then he kept fighting him, and then he went to Superman, Man of Steel, and then he kept fighting it again. It was really funny. When I watched Batman vs. Superman, I knew that they were going to do like a Death of Superman thing. I saw people commenting about it, and I knew that Death of Superman was a thing, that Superman died in the comics, but I didn't read it. What I assumed happened was that Superman was like with Batman and Wonder Woman, and there was this catastrophic thing happening, and Superman had to do this great sacrifice. Oh man, I'm going to die in honor, and everyone's like, don't worry, Superman, we're going to keep you in our hearts, even though we're sad. No! He's just like fucking duking it out with this guy that came out of fucking nowhere. Nobody knows who he is. He's just duking it out, and he just fights him for like, I don't know, 8 comics, and then they just fight so hard that they mutually punch each other and they immediately die. It's really funny. I love it. I love it. I really do. ever like tries to do a Death of Superman movie again, it should be exactly like this. Like, the movie starts, the entire Justice League is knocked out in the first 10 minutes, and then in the next 100 it's just Superman just trying to duke it out with this fucking guy showed up out of nowhere. I love it. I really do. I unironically love it. It's the best way they could have possibly done it. Like, DC didn't want to kill Superman permanently. Like, it doesn't matter how he died. Like, no, he's not gonna stay dead. Obviously not. The thing about Death of Superman is that other media started catching on. Like, newspaper, like, oh my god, Superman's dead. I don't know. But, like, it was never something to be permanent. So, it doesn't really matter how he died. I should just leave. And it was the best way he could have possibly done it. I love it. I absolutely do. It was the best way. I love it. Love it. Anyway, Superman died. How did it affect our golden boy? Booster Gold's suit got ripped up, so he essentially lost all his powers. He actually brings Kids back and it's like, oh, Kids, can you fix my suit? And Kids like, nah, it's from the 25th century, it's too complicated, I can't do it. And Booster Gold got really upset. Blue Beetle didn't actually die, it was just a joke, but he is really bad. He's in a coma, he has a bunch of brain swelling, and there is a really big chance that he might actually die. And Booster Gold's very upset about this. He ends up getting better. There was like this dream story, which I didn't like very much. We have seen a lot of stories about the Justice League being evil, you know? And this story is also that, but it's the traditional Justice League, you know? It's more traditional. It has Green Arrow, it has Green Lantern. I want to see the Justice League International be evil, man. I want to see Rocket Red be a fucking asshole. Wasted opportunity, doesn't matter. Blue Beetle comes back from the coma and he's like really upset about being the Blue Beetle. He spends more and more time in his lab. He makes Booster Gold a new suit, but it sucks. It's really heavy and it's really ugly. They do like a cover of Justice League America where he's like tearing a spaceship apart and it looks really badass, but if you actually read this story, like the aliens shoot an energy thing and he is immediately down. It's really funny. And Blue Beetle is like, doesn't want to be Blue Beetle anymore. He's spending time in the lab. And Booster Gold says, man, why are you spending so much time in the lab? Why are you so isolated? And the guy's like, dude, I don't want to be a superhero anymore. Like, I went into a coma, I almost didn't wake up and nobody gives a shit, you're the only one who cared. I don't want to sacrifice myself for an uncaring world. And then Booster goes like, well, what about your friends? What if we need your help? And it does come, like there's a superhero called Ice that's really BFFs with fire, and I cannot believe that the DC Comics did not make this canon. I don't know why they haven't. Anyway, Ice is, has ice powers because she comes from a Nordic tribe and she's descendant from ice gods, I don't know. And it's a very isolated tribe. She ran away because she wanted to see the rest of the world. And after Superman died, don't worry, he comes back later, it's the whole thing. But after Superman died, she was very upset and she went back to her tribe. The problem is that her brother killed her father to get the throne, was the whole thing. And she is imprisoned and asks the JLI for help. And they go, Blue Beetle goes along with them. It's like, oh man, if Ice is in danger, I'm going to help. And, they say, oh man, because you are a genius, you can do a lot of shit, you are too hard on yourself, even Batman would be jealous of the things that you do. It's like, and he doesn't buy it, ends up getting in a tough spot and be like, oh my god, I can't believe that I let you talk me into doing this. And Booster Gold was like, dude, nobody put a gun in your head and forced you to come. Why don't you come here to help rescue our friend? And he was like, oh my god, I shouldn't have done this because I'm the Blue Beetle and don't do shit. Nobody cares about the Blue Beetle. And Booster Gold was like, no, don't worry, we're gonna find a way out, we're going to do something. Then Blue Beetle's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to do it the Booster Gold way. I'm just gonna fucking fight everyone and I'm not gonna care about it. I'm just gonna trust it, I'm gonna make it out alive. And it works. It actually works. He fights out and then he's fine. It's a cute moment, because Blue Beetle does feel like he's overwhelmed and he's in too deep. But Booster Gold helps him to have more trust in himself, that he can get out of situations even when the odds are overwhelmingly against him, even when he could possibly die. So after that, there is a thing, there was an invasion. There was this guy that was an alien. Is an alien. I don't know why I use the past. I mean, he gets defeated, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This guy is like, oh, because I'm going to kill the entirety of humanity. It's gonna be like a whole thing. And Wonder Woman and Captain Atom are discussing exactly how they're going to deal with it. Because there's just this ship, it's on Mount Everest, and Captain Atom says, hey, I'm going to do a reconnaissance. I don't know the word in English. I'm going to pick up some people, some heroes, so we can see what's going on. And Booster Gold actually knows this guy because he learned about it in the future. That this was this whole thing. He was an alien that wants to kill everyone. He's like, no, we're going to get out of this. We're going to have like a glory. Beetle, go set up an interview, a press release for me, because I'm gonna come out of this really good, I know, because Booster Gold was there and he was fighting and he won. And Blue Beetle was like, so this whole thing about bravery, it was all bullshit. You're not brave. You're not like risking your life for your friends. You knew that you would get out of everything alive because you knew that you will last until this moment. It doesn't matter. Like, you knew that you were gonna get alive. Like, I can't even wish you good luck, you know, because you don't need it. You know, it's meaningless. You know you're gonna get out of this. And then Booster Gold says, no, you can't wish. It means a lot. It means that you care. And Peter's like, okay, good luck. Come back safe. And then Booster Gold goes with Captain Atom, and he's like, oh man, I'm gonna fulfill my destiny. I'm going to fight real good. But then he loses his arm, gets stabbed, and he needs to come back to the doctor, and he dies. He actually literally dies. He flatlines and everything. But then he comes out walking out of the surgery. He's like, yeah, I am actually dead. My heart's not beating anymore, but nobody's dying. Like, the alien froze, burst, and that's nobody's dying anymore. So yeah, history is changing. They can not make out of this, and Booster Gold fucking died. And so they are deciding what to do. You know, there's this whole thing that the aliens said, okay, I'm going to give, I don't know, a week for you guys to make peace with yourselves before I kill all of you. But if there are any superhero invasions trying to take me out, I'm going to take time away from the clock from you. And so the United Nations, they say that they need to vote on what they need to do, because it needs to be thought out, because if it fails, they're going to get less time. And Wonder Woman wants to respect this, but Captain Atom doesn't. He wants to just go and fight him already. And they do that. And Blue Beetle and Booster Gold are like trying to make a new armor, and they do make a new armor, a prosthetic arm, so that, because Booster Gold wants to go out and fight him again. And meanwhile, this is always happening, they lose Ice. Ice is brainwashed into helping the villain, and he goes and just fucks up everything, destroys the Justice League America headquarters, and she kidnaps her friend Fire. That she's Brazilian, by the way. Her name is Beatriz da Costa. She is from the Brazilian version of the CIA, and she's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to kidnap you because we're taking a specimen from Earth, and I'm gonna keep you safe because we're best pals, we're gals being pals. And Pia is like, no, don't do this. You need to fight this. You need to fight the mind erasing, the mind brainwashing. You need to fight it. And it doesn't work. But then later they do stage an attack on the ship, and I's like, no man, I gotta protect my friends. And she uses her powers and she dies, but it's a noble sacrifice. And meanwhile all the fight is going on, Blue Beetle's like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything here. I'm the fucking Blue Beetle. I'm not gonna fight this guy. I'm gonna try to figure out something else. So he goes and he finds the command center of the ship, and he starts hacking. He's just hacking everything on the ship, and he's like, okay, so I overcharged your energy cells, and your ship is going to blow in 20 minutes, which is before you kill all the world. And the villain's like, okay, so I guess I'm going to change things. Humanity dies in 10 minutes. And everyone's like, no, we can't do this. And then there's like this guy that absorbs a lot of power. And he's like, oh, I'm going to absorb a lot of power. And he absorbs the power. And they defeat the villain. And Bluebeard is like, okay, so I'm going to have to destroy the ship now. So we don't die. And then Wonder was like, but Booster Gold is dead. He's only kept alive because of the life support system of the alien. He's gonna die. And Booster Gold was like, no, it's okay. I can take dying. I will die, but everyone else is gonna die if you don't die. You need to do this. And they do. And then they escape. The ship explodes. And everyone's like, oh my god, Booster Gold is dying, and he's like lying on the floor, and Flash like, Blue Beetle, you're his friend, you're not feeling anything with this. And Blue Beetle is like, no, don't worry, I'm gonna feel something, but I don't know what yet. Then the life support systems that he installed in the suit come in, and they revive Booster Gold, he's alive, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's alive, but it's not happy occasion because Ice died, and this story is really good. I do recommend you read this. I am genuinely excited. It is genuinely a really good story. Anyway, Ice died, and the superheroes, are kind of blaming each other for their death. It was something that was really sad, and there was essentially a split. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle go to Extreme Justice to work with Captain Atom. Extreme Justice is not very good. I didn't understand a lot that was going on. There was like a guy named Monarch, I don't know. Funny thing about Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, is that you can tell exactly how it's gonna go depending on the shape of the glasses. If the glasses are really round, that means the story is going to be more silly. But if the glasses look more pointed, this means it's going to be more serious. In this story, in Extreme Justice, Blue Beetle looks a lot like Spider-Man. He does the same poses. It's really weird. It's very 90s. It's very extreme. So what's going on with our boy? Booster Gold is confined to the suit because he's all fucked up. Like, he doesn't have an arm, his heart's fucked up, doesn't have lungs. He needs to be on suit, and he's understandably very upset about that. So he's like, oh my god, I can't believe this, I'm going to be in suit for the rest of my life. But then he goes to like this dude named Monarch. He recovers everything. He covers his body, he covers his arm, and he gets his suit back. He's essentially back to normal, don't worry about it. So Extreme Justice was a thing, but then they decided to reboot the state of the Justice League, and it's not a thing anymore. Superbuddies happened, not gonna talk about that, so let's talk about Countdown to Infinite Crisis. There was this thing that happened that was called Identity Crisis, where something really bad happens. I could tell you what happens, but trust me, you don't want to know. Booster Gold ends up giving up on being a hero because of this really bad thing that happened, and Batman ends up creating a satellite called Brother Eye to keep an eye on the Justice League so that they don't do horrible things anymore. What happens is that the Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, figures out that someone is stealing money from his company, Cord Industries, and is funneling them to a project named OMAC. He doesn't know exactly what it is, but he's trying to look up into it. He goes to Batman for help, and Batman doesn't give a shit. Like, he asks Oracle for help, and yeah, she does bring a bunch of superheroes to his warehouse, which admittedly was very cringe. I don't know why Ted did this. She doesn't take his calls anymore. And Booster Gold ends up using his credit card so he can buy a ticket to Miami, because After he gave up on being a superhero, nobody really cares about Booster Gold anymore. Don't want him in advertisements and shit. Though he was a superhero, that was his identity. And he's like, man, there was this one commercial that was willing to give me a shot, so I need to go there. And Ted's like, oh man, you're not going to help me? And then Booster's like, no man, I really need to do this. And then Ted is like really low, nobody's there. He's fighting some villains, but then Booster Gold appears again. It's like, no, don't worry, I got out of the plane, and then I knew I gotta be with my bro. And they are like, oh, okay, let's do this together. And they go to Blue Beetle's house, and Blue Beetle starts hacking everything. She's hacking, and Booster Gold says, no, don't worry, I can hack now, let's switch because I'm from the 25th century. I know a lot about technology. This is child's play for this. And then he sits on the computer, he immediately explodes. That's what happens. And then Booster Gold fucking dies. And Blue Beetle's like, oh my god, they just blew up my house. They just blew up my friend. It's really bad now. And he ends up figuring out that he is being watched. Like they put a camera in him, and so he goes talk to Booster Gold in the hospital. So not actually that, he's just in the hospital, but he's pretty badly burned. And it turns out that this guy that they're investigating, they don't know who he is yet, used skits because it's like a 25th century security android. It's like, oh, okay, let's just use his technology to spy on Ted Card. And in Booster Goes really pissed. Like, they didn't want to explode me, Ted. They wanted to explode you. And they kill kids. They are fucking up everything. All my friends. I'm gonna fucking beat him up. But he can't because he's badly burned. He's like super fucked up. And Blue Beetle is like, okay, don't worry, I'm gonna look into it. And then he goes like to this castle in Switzerland, and he starts hacking in the castle. And it turns out that the guy is Maxwell Lord, which was the guy that took care of the Justice League International before. And he is using Batman's satellite and his information on the Justice League, so he can build something called OMACs, which are essentially robots that are specialized in killing superheroes, because he believes that the metahumans are a menace to the human race. And he's like, oh man, I'm going to fucking kill all the superheroes. And these OMACs are essentially viruses, and they transform people into OMACs. So you're just walking around minding your own business, then you inhale the OMAC thing, and then you become an OMAC, and you kill superheroes now. And Blue Beetle is like, oh my god, I need to get out and tell people. But Maxwell Lord's like, no, you won't, I'm going to kill you. And then Blue Beetle's like, no, you won't. He starts fighting, and then Blue Beetle dies. This isn't a joke. He actually dies. He gets shot in the head. Like a dog. He's dead. That card's fucking dead. And Wonder Woman, who was one of the people that believed him, goes to Booster, goes like, yeah, I haven't heard about that in like 2 days. I don't know where he is. And Booster goes like, yeah, he was investigating this thing. And they go out and they talk to people and talk to Batman. Batman's like, yeah, Blue Beetle fucking died. And Booster goes like super pissed. He shoots Batman, but nothing happens. And then they're like, oh my god, we need to figure this out. We need to avenge Ted. And then Guy Gardner comes in. It's like, no, Wonder Woman, you're not part of our clique. You're not our friend. You're not part of the gang. We need to gather Justice League International to avenge Ted. And then they do that, and they get absolutely creamed by the OMACs. Like, Pia ends up in the hospital. Rocket Red fucking died. He exploded. And Booster goes like, okay, I need to go back to the future. And then he goes back to the 25th century. He gets a new kit at some point. I don't really know what happened. He comes back and he's like, okay, so there's a new Scarab. There's the Blue Beetle, the Blue Scarab. He landed in El Paso. I need to find it. And then he goes to El Paso, and then he goes into this teenager's room, and he finds out that the Scarab went up this teenager's ass and was like, God fucking damn it, and now I gotta take this teenager with me, and that teenager is Jaime. It's Jaime, it's Bluebeard 3. I'm not gonna go into depth on the Mech Crisis because it's really boring. It's like just robots fighting a bunch of superheroes that I don't know, and it's so boring that at some point Superman from another dimension comes in. It's like, okay, this sucks, I'm your villain now. But don't worry about it, Booster Gold doesn't care, which means we don't have to care either. That's why I love my boy. Booster Gold takes this teenager, takes Jaime, takes him to the Batcave and tells Batman, okay, this is the new Blue Beetle, you need him to use his alien technology so you can find the satellite that's hidden, that's cloaked, and Batman's like, okay, sure. And so go in the book, take this fucking teenager that doesn't want to be there with them, and they go and track the satellite, destroy satellite, and the teenager Jaime, he pieces out. After all this is done, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, they get together and be like, yeah, okay, so this was a complete mess. Let's take a sabbatical. Let's spend like a year to figure ourselves out. You know how many weeks are there in a year? 52! So remember that thing that I said, that when Booster Gold is sad, he feels like he lost a lot of things, he starts becoming an asshole. That's essentially what happened. He's very upset that Ted Core died, and he went back to his original ways. He becomes a corporate superhero, and he's doing this for the money. He actually gets companies' names on his suit, and Bia calls him out on that, like, oh my god, you're not helping us do this thing. What about that court sacrifice? And he's like, no, I'm gonna be selfish now, fuck this. And so I'm not going to go over everything that happened in 52 because it is a lot. I'm just going to go over what happened with Booster Gold. And yeah, Booster Gold is losing his groove, he's losing his mojo, people don't like him as much anymore, and he ends up hiring a supervillain, like an actor, to pretend to be a supervillain so that he can fight him. And it ends up coming out because the check bounced, and the guy's like, no, because I was hired to be a supervillain, the Booster Gold's a fraud, and he starts losing sponsorships, and Skeet's information starts being very inaccurate because he was using Skeet's information, to buy stocks, to do stuff, and to see accidents so he can save people, but Skeet's is malfunctioning, everything's like, is going down the crapper, and to top it off, another hero called Supernova appears. And this Supernova is secretive, nobody knows the identity. Is he Superman? Is he Superboy? Nobody knows who Supernova is, but he is a hero, and he's helping people, and people are starting to like Supernova more than Booster Gold, and then Booster Gold goes and fights Supernova, and he dies in explosion. Like his corpse comes down and this Booster Gold. But before he dies, there was this thing that happened that Skeets was malfunctioning, and Booster Gold tried to find this time traveler called Rip Hunter to try to fix Skeet's inaccuracies, and he goes to his bunker and he sees like, oh my god, it was his fault, he destroyed the timeline, and he didn't say anything to Skeets, and Skeets like, okay, before he died, I don't think he told me everything that he saw in the bunker, so I need to enlist someone else, which is, he enlists the help of a guy named Daniel Carter that is the ancestor to Booster Gold, because he needs the genetics of the Carter family for some reason, and he goes into the bunker wearing a camera for Skeets. Skeets just bails and leaves Daniel there in a 52-second loop. Essentially what you need to know is this. Skeets is not Skeets anymore. He was essentially parasited by a worm named Mr. Mind, and this worm wants to devour the universe. He wants to devour time. And Booster Gold figured out that there was something going on, and he went to Rip Hunter for help. And what happened is that Rip Hunter created a suit using Phantom Zone technology, and this suit was keyed to the Carter genetic code. So only Booster and Daniel could use this. And so Booster went back in time to pretend to be Supernova for some reason. I haven't necessarily figured out that one. Booster had to fake his death, so Rip Hunter took his actual corpse from the future and brought it back and was like, yeah, that's Booster Gold's body. And Booster did all this, and they need to defeat Mr. Mind now. Became like a horrible monster. Because what happened is that the universe somehow became a multiverse again. It used to be a multiverse, but after Crisis on Infinite Earths wasn't anymore, and now it is again. It's 52 universes, and Mr. Mind wants to devour everything, all the universes, so they need to defeat this horrible abomination, and as they fight, the multiverses ended up differentiating from one another, and Rip Hunter is like, oh my god, we need like a lot of power, we need to do this. And then Booster Gold says, don't worry, I know where to get more power. And then he goes back in time to Crisis on Infinite Earths after that, and he meets that Corn. Then Ted says, oh, so you're from the future, do you know how I'm gonna die? And Booster says, I can't tell you that, but I can say that you're going to die a hero in your dung Beetle outfit. And then he takes his Scarab, goes back, uses his Scarab to power up a thing, and Bluegold saves the day one last time. And they ended up trapping the worm in a time loop, and it's Booster Gold Volume 2 now. So what happens essentially is that Rip Hunter is a guy that is a time traveler, and he needs to fix timeline inconsistencies. Because of the creation of the 52 universes and all the attacks by Mr. Mind, there are a lot of fissures, a lot of wounds in the timeline, and they need to be fixed because bad people are going to use those wormholes to change history. And he needs Booster Gold's help because nobody likes Booster Gold anymore. Nobody thinks a lot about him. He's just a fraud. And as such, he's perfect for the job because nobody's going to suspect that he's doing it. Because if you are a time traveler and you're messing with villains that use time travel, you need to keep yourself a secret. You can't tell anyone about anything. Because if the villains figure out who you are, they're just gonna go back in time and kill your parents or kill you as a baby, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Rip Hunter himself is a complete incognita. We don't know who he is. Rip Hunter is obviously not his real name, and he needs Booster Gold's help to do it because nobody's going to suspect that Booster Gold is doing this. He's going to become the greatest hero no one will ever know. And Booster goes like, fuck you, I'm not doing this. I'm leaving. I don't want to do this. I want to just join the Justice League. I want to be a famous superhero. I want the glory. I don't want this. And so he has to join the Justice League again. And everyone's like, oh my god, you suck. You're a fraud. I don't like you. But Batman's like, no. Let's do this for Ted. Let's give him a chance. We're going to decide this in 1 week from now, and then Booster goes like saving a lot of people and shit, and Skeet's helping. Skeet is fine now, and he does actually get into the Justice League. He goes into the halls, and they give him like a certificate. Oh, okay, you're part of the Justice League of America now. But as Booster Gold is holding it, it changes into that certificate for Hal Jordan, who is the Green Lantern, and Booster goes like, oh fuck, Hal Jordan's gonna die if I don't do anything. And it's like, no, I didn't want to join the Justice League. I just wanted to turn you guys down. And then he leaves, and he goes to Rip Hunter. It's like, okay, I'm gonna help fix the timeline and save everyone, but with one condition: you're going to let me go back in time and save Ted Kord. And Rip Hunter's like, absolutely not. You can't do this. You can't change the past. And Booster goes like, I'm not gonna do it, man. You gotta add the same as BFF. I'm not gonna do anything. Gotta do it. And Rip Hunter's like, okay, I guess. So they go and they travel back in time a lot. It's really fun. I do recommend reading the series. He does a lot of shit. He gets hate crime by Guy Gardner, and then he ends up restoring the timeline, and then Booster goes like, okay, so I'm going to save my friend now, and Hunt's like, no, there's one thing that we need to do. We need to go back in time and save Batgirl from being crippled by the Joker. In case you haven't watched my Batman videos, the Killing Joke is a story by Alan Moore in which the Joker shoots and cripples Barbara Gordon, and she needs to be in a wheelchair, and she becomes Oracle and shit. And Alan Moore didn't want to actually cripple Batgirl. He wrote this story to be like an Elseworlds, to be like a side story, and DC said no, it's main continuity now, fuck you. And so Booster Gold needs to go back in time and fight the DC executives to stop them from clipping the bitch, but he can't do it because DC executives are really hard to reason with.
You see what those bloody corporations do? They take your ideas and they suck them. Suck them like leeches until they've gotten every last drop of the marrow from your bones.
Hey, Teacup, why don't you chill out?
Very well.
And he's like all fucked up from the fighting to the DC executives, and Rip Hunter's like, oh, you can't actually save her, I'm just trolling you. And then Booster goes like, what do you mean just trolling me? What do you mean I can't save her? Like, yeah, actually this is the point I saw you fight in time. You can't change it. And I brought you back in time to do this, to show you this. You need to learn by example that you can't save that card. You try to save this girl, you're not going to be able to save that card. But then another time capsule comes, and there is the first Blue Beetle, the third Blue Beetle, and another Blue Beetle from the future. And they're like, no, we need to do this, we need to save that card. Because I'm from the future, I have technology that can unsolidify events in time. And Booster goes like, okay, fine by me, and then they go and they save that card. They save the Blue Beetle from dying, and the Blue Beetle from the future is like, okay, but nobody can know that that card's alive. Everybody thinks he's dead. It's like, okay, fine by me. And then they come back to the future. The problem is that because they fucking broke into Maxwell Lord's castle and stole everything and stole the Blue Beetle, the OMAC crisis happened way earlier, and everybody's fucking dead or dying. It sucks. The future sucks. And Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are like, oh my god, everything is terrible. We need to find allies to fight us. And then they reunite the Justice League International again, and they get creamed again. It never works. Every time they try to bring the Justice League International back together to fight another it never works. I don't know why they keep doing it. Anyway, it don't get absolutely creamed because they managed to regain Superman, and Batman's also there. They're like fighting, but then Blue Beetle from the future comes with a bunch of other villains. Like, no, I'm not actually Blue Beetle from the future. I'm Black Beetle. I'm Jaime Rey's greatest enemy. I don't know what the fucking deal with this guy is. So in a comic that he said he was Jaime from the future, and then another comic that said he was Booster from another dimension. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I'm not gonna read Jaime Reyes. It fucking sucks. I'm not gonna read it. I don't care. Anyway, everyone's fighting, and Ted Kors look at this like, dude, I gotta die. Like, what is this? And Booster's like, no, you can't do it. We can figure it out. We can go back in time again. And then he goes back in time, and he dies, and the timeline changes, and Booster ends up going to the year 1 million, and he learns that there is another hero there that did the same con that he did. He is from the future and came back in time to become a superhero and become famous, but he's doing the con better than he did, and Booster ends up learning that he does not have any kind of legacy in the future. Nobody remembers him. The only thing he did, the only legacy he had was being a fraud. That's why he's remembered, because he was a fraud in the 25th century, went back in time to pull this con, and he is not remembered for anything else. That's the legacy to the future. And he's very upset by this. He's very upset that Beetle died again, and he leaves. And Rip Hunter comes back to rescue him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done being a superhero. I should have never left the 25th century. I'm going to go back. I done. I don't care anymore. I should have never come back. I'll try to forget everything that happened this godforsaken century." And he's leaving, but he receives a call from Batman. It's like, "No, you gotta come to the Batcave. It's an emergency." And Booster goes there, and it's like, "Oh, Batman, why do you need me? Why is the emergency?" And Batman shows him pictures of this time. And Batman shows him pictures that the Joker took from him when he was trying to stop him from crippling Barbara Gordon. And Batman says, "No, I knew that you were there. I knew that you were trying to stop it. And that's why I was okay with you joining Justice League International. Because I knew that you were going to try to do this. And I knew that you would try to be a hero and try to help people. But I couldn't say anything because it wasn't you. I mean, you had a different uniform, you were younger, but now that the whole Justice League thing happened, I see that this happened. So what's going on? What's happening?" And then Booster says that he tried to go back in time to change things for the better, but he couldn't because he's not a good superhero. He couldn't change anything for the better. And Batman says, "Well, maybe you can't do this, but you cared and you try. That makes you a hero. And yeah, I know that I'm not Ted, but you can talk to me, if you're feeling sad." And then Booster goes back to Rip Hunter's lab, and Rip Hunter actually saw that Booster was really upset, so he saved Michelle, his sister that died, and he was really upset. He saved her from the explosion. Right before she died, he saved her to make Booster happy, And they reunite. It's really pretty. And they go back in time to see the Eiffel Tower being built, and we find out that and we find out that Booster is Rip Hunter's dad. That Booster actually had a legacy. He started all of the time traveling people, that go back in time to fix things. He started that, and the message in the end says that he was a black sheep in the Carter family because he didn't achieve anything. He was a fraud. But it's really interesting that even though he was a fraud, even though he was a terrible person and nobody cares about him, every single recorded image of him has him smiling, and his kid is very separated. It's a beautiful story. I really enjoyed it. What about the other stories on Booster Gold 2007? Let's see. There's a bunch of them. Not all of them have much impact in the timeline. He goes back. He saves a kid. There was this whole thing with Ghost City. There was the thing with Blackest Night, where apparently a bunch of dead people came back to life. He needed to fight the corpse of Ted Kord and kill him again. Then there was this thing that Maxwell Lord, which is the guy who killed Blue Beetle, he comes back to life. And the thing is that nobody remembers him. Nobody remembers him doing the Olmec crisis or killing Blue Beetle. Nobody remembers him. So Booster goes back in time to try to find proof that he existed, to bring back to the future. It doesn't work, and there was this side adventure with Blue Beetle from the past that's really fun, that he needs to recover a book, but they end up in jail. Ted Kord turns into a squirrel, he gets eaten, and then it was a fucking mess, because Booster Gold was there doing this, and then he was like, "You know what? Fuck this, and he leaves, goes to the future, and he has, "Okay, Ted, what exactly? How did we get out of that? And that's like, what do you mean, man? You were there like, no, just tell me, how did you become non-squirrel again? And Tab was like, yeah, the spell wore off and the lady threw me up. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then he comes back to the adventure, and then they throw up that card, and then they go back into the JLI, get the book. It was fun, and I would highly recommend you read it. A highlight was that Blue Beetle figured out that Booster wasn't his Booster, it was another Booster from the future. And she was like, yeah, dude, I know you. I'm a BFF. I could recognize you. Like, oh, kind of sad that you went back here. Are we not friends in the future? Or you can't follow around anymore? And Booster's like, oh, don't worry about that. That we're still really close. Nothing could change that. And Blue Beetle says, I'm glad that you came back, and now we can waste some time, because I know that there's nothing more important that you should be doing, because if there was something important, you would have brought future me along with you. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, Justice League Generation Lost is a story. The whole Maxwell Lord thing coming back to life happened because, like, he was killed by Wonder Woman was the thing, and he has plans, and I do recommend reading this story. It's really good. Everyone's character is on point except for Ice and Blue Beetle. Like, they did this really weird thing with Ice. I don't know why. Because there was this thing that she was from a tribe of Nordic gods, but now they retconned it to be, she's apparently like a normal person. She was from a tribe of Romanis, and she Elsa'd out. She went frozen and killed everyone. It sucks. I don't know why they did it. And Blue Beetle also doesn't do much except defeat the villain and die. Yeah, Maxwell Lord shoots Blue Beetle again, and everyone gets really sad, crying, oh my god, Max shot Blue Beetle again, oh no! But he wasn't actually dead. He was just taking a nap. It was really funny. I can't even blame him for not doing anything, because he got dragged to this kicking and screaming, literally. But, you know, Jaime spent the entire fucking Blue Beetle movie complaining about doing shit. Doesn't want to fucking do anything. I hate him. So while I do recommend reading the story, I'm not going to go into a lot of what happens, because I think that there was supposed to be ramifications. Like Batman says that they're recreating the Justice League International, but then Flashpoint fucking rebooted everything, and nothing matters anymore. And it's not going really into this because it's too complicated, but it's interesting because Booster Gold became the leader of the JLI, kinda, and he starts leading them, and it's really heartwarming because he used to be a much more silly guy. Oh, because I don't care, I want money. Actually, like, oh man, I'm going to be a leader, and he's a great leader. Like, Captain Atom started becoming really upset because everyone thinks he's a mass murderer, and then it's like, oh man, I'm gonna kill Maxwell Lord, I'm gonna kill him. And then Booster's like, no, you're not going to kill him because we're good people, and being good fucking sucks. You need to be doing a bunch of shit that you don't want to do because it's the right thing, and that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to put him in a concrete cell where he's going to rot for the rest of his life, but I'm gonna beat the shit out of him first. You're not gonna stop me. We're not gonna kill him. And then Captain Atom's like, okay, chill. It's really good story. Too bad that everything got rebooted. Booster goes to jail at some point in the future. But it was a scheme by Rip Hunter being like, no, because you need to meet the perforated man. I don't know. But it's like really weird because there's this thing that, oh, Booster, you stole the equipment from the museum, so you need to pay for your crimes. Injustice 2 did that as well. You know, like, Ted dies in Justice 2, of course, he always dies. And it's like, oh, because I put money in an account that's going to get, you know, it's going to get invested in, and you're going to pay off your suit to the museum. First of all, gay. Second of all, stupid. Third of all, we've already been through this. In the original Booster Gold story, when he goes to the future, he gets sent to the death penalty because stealing a time machine is a really big deal. In the Booster Gold 2007, he gets sentenced to 5 years, which is stupid. He already got sentenced to life, to death, and I'm not pulling an actually. I'm not being an annoying comic book fan here, because it makes sense that stealing a fucking time machine and changing the past would be a really big fucking deal, you know? Like, it's not just 5 years. It's like, oh, because it's going to get diminished by the good. Fucking Booster Gold didn't do shit. He didn't do good things. We've already established this. The whole reason he's with Rip Hunter is because everyone thinks that Booster Gold is useless and a fraud. That's why he's in this entire conundrum. He doesn't get time off for being a good person because nobody knows that he's a hero. But also, we've been through this. In the original story, the cop that wants to kill Booster for stealing stuff goes back in time to kill Booster for stealing stuff. And Booster's like, listen, you can kill me if you want. You can shoot me. Fine, you can. It's a thing you can do. However, I am doing good things here. I'm not just fucking around. I'm saving people. I'm being a hero. And if you want to kill me, you're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to deal with the fact that I am an actual hero. I'm doing good things. And the cop's like, yeah, you're right. Maybe you get in the Superbuddies lesson. Maybe you were meant to be here. Maybe you were meant to save people. I'm not gonna kill you. Done! It's done! It's solved! This conundrum should never appear again. But you know how comic books are like, oh, because we need to punish people. You did a crime, you need to redeem yourself from that. You need to rot in a jail cell for 5 years, even though it's not going to benefit anyone. You know, it's the United States. You need to go to jail. We send all people to jail. I don't know, man. It's just like, it's the same thing that happened in Better Call Saul. Like, going to jail and running a jail cell is not adequate redemption for the bad things you did. What you need to do is to accept that you did bad things and try to compensate for that by becoming a good person and benefiting people, which is what he did in the original comics. Who cares? It's comic books. Nobody cares. Comics for children. Okay, so I think that we're done here because, like, Flashpoint happens. There's, like, entire thing with Booster Gold, but nothing really happens. He meets a lady disappears. No. So what Flashpoint actually was is that Flash went back in time to save his mom, but he ended up altering the timeline. Then he comes back to try to alter again, and that somehow caused other universes to exist, and the universe got rebooted, and now we have a new 52, which does nothing to do with the 52 from 4. This is a new 52, which means, yeah, this entire thing, everything that I've been through with, it doesn't matter anymore. It's completely outdated now. Fucking doesn't matter. Yeah, so I don't know exactly where the timeline goes from here. I don't know what happened after 52, because continuity is really wonky, because there was rebirth. I don't know. Ted Guard comes back to life somehow, somewhen. Listen. I was going to investigate this and I was going to bitch about continuity, but then the spirit of superhero comic books descended and told me, Laura, you could, if you wanted to, bitch about continuity. You could try to get Blue Beetle's death into continuity again, or you could just enjoy that Detective Comics is doing this. And you could just enjoy this lovely story about Blue Beetle and Booster Gold playing beach tennis with a bunch of their future counterparts, and I'm like, okay, sure, I'll take it. Bluegold forever, baby! Bluegold Adventures! Bluegold forever, 100 years! Blue and Gold 100 times, 100 days at blueandgoldadventures.com. The continuity is there, nothing really matters. Let's go to character analysis. Booster Gold actually has a complete and full character arc up to and including his death. You know, because there's like Booster Gold conversions where Booster Gold, and the older one that already had kids, he is really worn down because of all the time traveling that he did, and he's dying. And he ends up talking to Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, his best friend, and he says, oh, I don't regret anything that happened in my life. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And then his family shows up and he's with them one last time. That it would be a great death for Booster Gold. Would be, because some comic book bullshit happens. Like, oh no, because we gotta take it to the chrono energy chamber to turn all the chrono energy into and then he becomes Ghost Rider, and I don't know, man, I don't care. To me, that's how Booster Gold died. He died without his friend that he didn't regret anything, died with his family with him. That's how he died. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And I'm not saying that there aren't any more Booster Gold stories that you can tell, because the guy's a time traveler. You can basically do whatever you want. Like, in the meantime, you can tell any kind of stories that you want. But his character arc is essentially over. And since his arc is complete, I can understand why Detective Comics wanted to reboot the thing and have another go at it, because I don't know if you noticed, but I spent like an entire hour talking about it. It's really long, full of details. I actually skipped through a bunch of stuff that wasn't good. So I can understand that they were like, yeah, okay, we can retell the story in a more compact way, maybe more planning, and we can reintroduce this story to new readers and make it more accessible. So the new 52 Booster Gold is essentially a Booster Gold from a different reality, a different universe. A universe where he fucking sucks. Oh my god, it's bad, guys. It's bad. I don't understand what they were doing here. I don't think I even like understand the character in general, you know. There wasn't an issue of Booster Gold New 52. I think that I just read him in Justice League International, the new one, and some issues where he appeared here and there. Like there's some issues in Blue Beetle where Blue Beetle's like, oh my god, I need to remove this scarab from me, and Booster Gold's like, no, don't worry, I'm gonna help you. And Jaime Reyes, the third Blue Beetle, goes and talks to him, and Booster Gold just starts beating the shit out of him. He just starts like fucking punching him, fighting. It's ugly, and Jaime's like, what is going on? I feel like Witcher is so betrayed right now. I trust this guy. And it's not like a thing that Booster Gold would do anyway, because he went on media, on the press, saying that he wanted to help Jaime, you know, and he's just lying to his audience like that. He is a press guy, he wouldn't do that. Then like Jaime's fucking grandma shows up and starts berating Booster Gold in public. Booster Gold's like, oh no, it was just a prank, bro. I was just testing your fighting capabilities to see if you want to join the Justice League International. And the context implies that he's clearly lying, like he just trying to save face because a bunch of bystanders just saw this fight and they're like, dude, why are you beating up this guy? And Booster was like, no, it was just a prank. Apparently he was serious. He appeared in like Justice League International Annual, and he was like, oh, it's part of the team now. Say hello, hi, and I don't know what the fuck what they try to do. Maybe they were trying to explain what the fuck happened, but then it got cancelled and they couldn't do it. But it's weird that you would be like, oh, you should read JLI Annual to see Jaime and see what happened, and then they just don't explain shit. God, talking about the new 52 JLI is so weird. Like, it's weird to be talking about JLI in general. The thing about being a fan of the JLI is that it feels like DC personally hates me. It's you're reading a story and they reference the JLI. I'm like, oh cool, they're referencing the story that I like, and then the character is just like, wow, that team fucking sucks. They're a bunch of shits. They didn't do anything. They were a bunch of losers, and now they're just stuck reliving their glory days because they all turned out to be failures. I'm like, holy shit, guys! Sorry for enjoying the thing that you did. I mean, I did say that I don't really care that if the JLI is actually useful, because I would rather the fictional team to be fun to read, but you don't need to fucking drag me through the mud like this. You don't need to make me feel bad about it. So I think that they had this in mind when they planned to reboot the new JLI, because it's not fun at all. It's not funny. It's just a normal superhero team. And even if I didn't know that, I didn't know absolutely anything about how stupid the whole New 52 thing was, even I still wouldn't read it. Like, if I were in that time and I were a fan of the JLI and I saw the new JLI International in a comic book stand, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't, because look at this cover. And can't you see that there's something weird about this cover? You know, like the old JLI cover was like, oh, they are standing and looking at the camera and it has a lot of personality. This one, they're just flying on the ether. But there is something really important missing. Can you guess what it is? Yeah, I can guess. Don't worry, I'll tell you. Where's Blue Beetle, DC? He has always been in the JLI. Well, Jaime didn't join at first, but then Booster convinced him to join after they fought. Cord. He isn't Blue Beetle, he's just a guy that has Is he a hero? No, he almost lost his company, but Lex Luthor let him keep it, and now he's a... That's not blood on you, is it? Blue Beetle is not in the team. Like, as I said, Jaime appears later, but for some fucking reason, they decided to not have Ted Cord in general in the universe. Like, they completely erased him. He's not the Blue Beetle anymore. He's just a guy now. He's a fucking nerd billionaire. He doesn't exist anymore. I don't fucking know why. Like, I don't think that DC really understood what exactly removing Ted Cord from the JLI means, because here's the thing. I'm not saying that the reason the New 52 JLI is bad is because Ted Cord is not there. That would be stupid. But it is a symptom of a larger problem. Some people like the original JLIs because it's lighthearted, it's fun, everyone is friendly, they treat each other as a family, even if they're like fighting like fucking sitcom friends. And they are legitimately good people. They legitimately want to help the world, and they succeed in many events. They actually do help the world, and they do save people. And Batman himself said, yeah, well, might not be the most competent bunch, and maybe you fell through a lot of hoops and traps, but you actually tried, even when the world didn't believe you, even when everyone was against you. You still went out there to try to solve the situation, to save us. Who is the one character that embodies this? Like, really, who is the one character, the one fucking character no one cares about? It's not the best at anything, but he has like a really fucking good heart and he wants to do the best even when no one believes him. Who is that? Oh, wow, it's fucking Guy Gardner. So while the comic is not bad, because Ted Kord is not there. The fact that he isn't there means that the writers completely missed the point. The writers said, yeah, let's do like a normal superhero team that fights alien threats to the world. I mean, you already have like 50 superhero teams that do that, but let's just do that again. Let's just think international. There's like one point, the lady like Godiva, she's complaining all the time. She's like, I don't want to do this. I'm just a spy. I don't have any powers. I just have like a hair thing. I don't know what I'm doing here. But then in a comic, in a panel, she just says, no, they are my friends. I need your help. And I'm like, lady, who the fuck are you? I'm not even saying that she's irrelevant or whatever, because, I mean, the spirit of the JLI, you should bring your shit characters into the comic so we can have fun with them. Like, you should absolutely do that. But I don't have any idea who the fuck she is. You don't know what a fucking true friendship is. A friendship is you work with this guy, you're not really a big fan of him, but he's in the team, you have to work with him, and you fight together, and then you go to a boxing match and you break his ribs and sends him to the hospital, but then you fight together again and saves his life, and then he dies and you avenge his death. That's what a fucking friendship is, not whatever the fuck they were trying to do. Yeah, the video's not about that, the video's about Booster Gold. How is he? Well, he's kind of the leader of the JLI, which is just baffling to me. Yeah, but so, like, they didn't put Martian Manhunter there for, I don't know why. I mean, they kind of tried to sidetrack Martian Manhunter in the real Justice League by replacing him with Cyborg, so you could put Martian Manhunter there, but they didn't. They put Booster Gold as the leader because he's easier to control. And Booster Gold is like brash and he's immature and everything, but he's not as bad as the actual Booster Gold, the pre-52 one. You know, it's weird because he becomes the leader and he makes decisions, and sometimes his decisions lead to bad outcomes, but like Batman's there and Batman's like, oh, don't worry, you did the right call, you are a good competent leader. And I'm like, what the fuck, what is this? Because it's weird, because the thing about Booster Gold is that he was like a failure. He was bad at some things, he was inexperienced, he actually had a lot of problems, a lot of flaws that he needed to overcome. And he did that. He became a better person. He was a character evolution that made sense, that was enjoyable to read, and very satisfying to see conclude. And if you want to like evolve his character again, he needs to overcome his flaws and actually become a better leader. He can't be a better leader from the start. Am I going crazy? Because I feel like I'm going crazy here. You know that episode of The Simpsons where Homer is like reading about marketing, so like advanced marketing, and he doesn't understand anything, he throws in the garbage. And then he reads beginner marketing, he doesn't understand anything, and then he throws it in the garbage. And then he picks up the dictionary and looks up marketing. That's what it feels like. This is the definition of character development. If you want a character to become something, he needs to not be that thing, so he can't become the thing. Not what Batman should be doing here. She should be calling Booster Gold a fucking moron, ditching the JLI because it's completely incompetent, and Booster Gold's like, yeah, okay, maybe he has a point, maybe I need to become a better person, maybe I need to become a better leader, and then working on becoming a better leader. I don't know. Maybe they weren't trying to evolve Booster Gold's character, maybe he was already a leader, he was already a competent person, maybe this is the new character from the New 52. Maybe he was already a competent person from the beginning and the world just needs to acknowledge that. But that makes it worse. That's not why we like the character. Like, what are you even trying to do with this character? Why should we like him? Because you took a guy that was interesting, that had fuck-ups that were funny, but then he actually becomes responsible, and now he's just a normal guy. It's just like a normal, competent, mediocre guy. Like, why should we care about this character? Other than the fact that he's apparently Booster Gold. He has the name. God, what a fucking mess. What a fucking mess. You know, I think that's really funny because there are two scenes in Justice League International, the first one and the 52, that shows exactly what I'm talking about. Like, In both scenes, the JLI needs to clean up some alien spacecraft that fell in battle because you can't let normal people touch this stuff because it might be radioactive, you might have some weird substances, so the JLI has to clean it up. And in both scenes, Guy Gardner is throwing a fucking fit. Like, he is just chimping out. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna complain all the time. And in the New 52, it's straight up that. He's just complaining. It's boring. He's just being a drama queen. It's like, oh my god, Buster Goes the leader. He just wants fame. He just wants money. I'm a superhero. I do it for free. Oh my god. He's just complaining. But in the original JLI, they know that he's just being dramatic and just being annoying, and they play it up. He's just being a fucking piece of shit. It's like, yeah, I'm going to complain, and you're going to be hearing me. I'm going to chimp out. I'm going to annoy you. It's really funny. It's really great. So I don't know what else there is to say. They just completely missed the point of the JLI, missed the point of Booster Gold. They erased Ted Cord. New 52 was a fucking mess. There was one point where the pre-52 Booster Gold goes to the New 52. Like, no, I got a cock block Superman because Superman and Wonder Woman fucking kiss. I don't know what's going on. And then Booster goes like, no, we need to cock block Superman. You need to do that. But then he just disappears. I don't fucking know what happened. And honestly, I don't care. So the New 52 is an era that is best left forgotten. But I brought it up because for us to understand why Booster Gold works, it's much easier if we analyze a Booster Gold that doesn't. And I think that was it, what I just said. It's the fact that Booster Gold is a clearly flawed character that gets better over time. And one thing about Booster Gold is that he's a very human character. He deals with a lot of stuff that normal people deal with, which is not necessarily a thing that happens in a lot of superhero comics. I know that there are a lot of comics that are like, oh, because we're trying to make this character more human, we're trying to make this character more relatable, but it doesn't necessarily work. I mean, when I get Watchmen, it's like, oh, they're constructing the characters, they're actually people, and they fuck up. But, like, I have never met a person in real life that was like Rorschach or Ozymandias. Or like, oh, we need to put tragedy in our comics to make it realistic, we need to kill everyone, and it's not how it works. And Booster Gold, as a normal person, he feels normal temptations, as we all do, and he rises above it, and that's what makes it good. But you need to be very clear that when he fucks up, he does fuck up. Because it makes his character better if he went from someone that fucks up to someone that doesn't, that actually learned from his mistakes. I think that at his core, Booster Gold is a very resourceful person. He lived through the entire spectrum of fame and fortune, actually. He did grow up kind of poor because his father did a lot of gambling, but then he struggled as being a football star, and he got money, he got sponsorships, not sponsorships, scholarships, sorry, and he saw the opportunity to become more, to have more money, and then he fell into the temptation of betting, and then he lost everything, then he went to work at the museum, and then he saw shit, became a superhero, have a lot of sponsorships, and he got money, he joined the JLI, and then he saved the world, but then he lost his mojo, and now people don't respect him anymore, and now he's like a time traveler. He went through it all. And I think that what's common with Booster Gold is since he knows what it feels like to not have money, he knows how to use the resources at his disposition. And that also means not doing futile work that's not going to get him anywhere because he doesn't have the time or money to do so. So Rip Hunter says, hey Booster, I need you to do time travel shit because you need because you have a terrible reputation and nobody's going to kill you. And Booster Gold says, I will do so if I can change the past to save my friend Ted Cord. He's not saying that because he's stupid. He's not saying that because he's selfish, because he wants to endanger the entire timeline. Saying that because he has a fucking time machine sitting there on the warehouse So like, yeah, let's use it to actually do good, to actually save people and help the world become a better place. And he has a lot of problems dealing with the fact that he can't do that he can't save millions of people from dying in Coast City, because he has the resources right there to stop it from happening. It takes a while for him to actually understand that the resources that he has is not exactly what he thinks it is. But it's not because he's stupid, it's because he's a resourceful person. If he has the means to do something, he'll probably do it. If he doesn't have the means to do a thing, he probably won't. Like, that's why Booster Gold's like taking sponsorships and he's selling out in many times in the timeline, because there's no reason why he shouldn't do that. He's saving people, he's doing good, and if someone presents with the opportunity, hey, do a commercial for you to get money, then he's gonna do it. There's no reason not to, especially because he grew up poor and he knows the value of money. I mean, it's not like he's harming people by doing so. And he hired the guy to pretend to be a villain for him to try to recover some credit. That was admittedly a scumbag move. He shouldn't have done it, but it's not like he's being like a bad person there, like actually harming people. It's just being resourceful. He has the resources to do a thing, so he does it. It's like his character development isn't so much as becoming a better person, but it is in valuing different things, being more accepting of his place in life, of where he is, and to do the best that he can, and not necessarily valuing his reputation and his money and trying to get better things, trying to use his resources to try to get a better life or anything. It's just realizing that there are more valuable things than that, realizing that the safety of all the superheroes and all the time stream is more important than that. Because here's the thing, Booster Gold is not stupid. A lot of people forget about this, but he actually has a degree in history in the 25th century. Now granted, history in DC Universe 25th century is probably much more different than what we have today, because when you learn history right now, you're probably like doing it in a Marxist way, as in, oh, the material conditions are the most important thing, and the class warfare is what drives history. Because the most important men of today are people that managed to create ideologies that mobilize a lot of people to do changes in society that affect us even today. But the most important people in the DC universe are probably like a guy received a magic ring because of his willpower and then he fucking destroyed the universe. That's probably one of the most important guys in history. And it's not like Parallax debating political opponents or writing manifestos, so you can't really study the ideology of the guy. You probably study his biography and what the fuck he even is. The Green Lantern ring. It's probably a lot more like studying celebrity tabloids to try to understand what the fuck happened with all these people to get superpowers and to keep completely resetting the timeline multiple times. What I'm trying to say is that Booster Gold is not fucking reading Das Capital or even knowing who Che Guevara in Cuba is, probably because maybe in the 25th century there isn't a Cuba anymore because of the nuclear warfare and shit. But like the guy still managed to get a degree, probably defended a thesis, went class, passed a bunch of tests, so it's not like a moron. He's not stupid. He's not a fucking DC genius, but he's not an absolutely dumb. He's just a resourceful person that values things that are different than yours. I think it's really interesting that Tom King, he wrote Human Target and Booster Gold's there, and he fucks up something and the guy that's the Human Target says, well, Booster Gold isn't more stupid than like most superheroes, that he doesn't hide it. Like, yeah, famous Booster Gold never hid anything his entire life. I don't understand the fuck is wrong with Tom King with writing Booster Gold, honestly, because like he writes a perfectly good Ted Kord. I enjoyed Ted Kord in Human Target, enjoyed him in Heroes in Crisis. I don't understand what the fuck he has against Booster Gold. Like, there was the gift story. Goes and decides to build an entire timeline to give Batman as a gift because, oh man, I brought her parents back to life and now the universe is so much worse, and now you're going to feel relief that your parents died for something, and then everything goes to shit. It's a really weird story. I don't know why it exists, but it's kind of weird because I think that it makes sense for Booster Gold to do this. A lot of people shit in the story by saying that Booster Gold is super stupid and he wouldn't do that. And yeah, he wouldn't do that. He is uncharacteristically stupid. He wouldn't do this. But if you consider the Booster Gold Volume 2 to be canon to this story, which I do, because he refers to himself as the greatest hero you've never heard of, I think I can understand the line of thought here, because the thing about Ted Kord is that he died, and Booster Gold felt really upset about it. He tried to bring him back to life, tried to save him with a time machine, didn't work. But we can assume that this adventure made him feel a little better about it. I mean, he's still pretty upset and pretty angry that Ted died. This, like, he understands there was a bigger purpose about it, not just Batman fucking up, like he needed to try to save the world, to have a better future, and maybe this brought a little peace to him, and he's like, yeah, I can give Batman that. Maybe Batman will have a little more peace if I do this. And again, I don't think Booster Gold would actually go through with it, just like creating a new different timeline, a new universe just to do this. I think he would probably discuss this with Batman beforehand if he actually went through this, but it makes sense. It does follow some kind of logic, and a lot of people go like, oh, because Booster Gold didn't care that Green Lantern killed himself with the ring.
Hey, remember how 5 minutes ago you watched Hal Jordan kill himself horrifically? Why are you doing this right now? Like, what the hell tone is this thing going for? Dark humor, maybe? At best? I mean, it's followed up by Booster acting childish and copying everything Skeets is saying right before Batman lassos him by the neck.
And yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't care about other deaths in universes that are never going to happen. Because you need to remember that, like, in the beginning of the case, the entire dimension thing is fake. The universe that he's in is not gonna last. He's going back in time to undo this, so it doesn't really matter how many people die, because they're not going to actually die. They're going to stop existing altogether. And it's not a thing that Booster Gold has ever been shown to be depressed about. Like when the Ted Kord thing happens and he's super upset. He's upset that Ted died. It was a death that stuck in the real universe. He's not upset that he went back in time and a bunch of people died to the Olmec crisis. And he's like, oh my god, I killed a bunch of people because I saved Ted Kord and the Olmec crisis. Like, it's not a thing that he's concerned about, because those people didn't die. That universe doesn't exist anymore. He's never shown concern about it. So maybe he was a little excited to see Green Lantern fucking punching himself to death, but it is consistent with his character. It doesn't mean that he's a heartless asshole. And you know, when he actually realizes how serious the situation is and that he can't go back in time to restore the universe, you know, he goes insane and he starts feeling guilt and he really wants to fix it. So it's not like it had no impact on him, it's just he didn't think it was real. And when he realized it was more real than he expected, he's like, oh shit. You know, I don't think that the gift is that bad of a Booster Gold characterization. That being said, Batman's fucking awful. I don't understand why Batman's characterized like that. I recently watched a video that I made, like I talked about Tom King's Really Really Bad Day, and I went so soft on him. I was so nice. Like, oh my god, Batman is out of character. Why is that? Is that a meta reason? Yeah, the reason's that Tom King fucking sucks. because Tom King decided to unironically make Batman kill the Riddler for no reason. And now he decided that Batman is a fucking insane lunatic that would rather have the universe be fucked and everyone die and Gotham constantly on fire than having his parents die. Like, I'm not the biggest Batman fan out there. I haven't read all his shit, but I would expect that at this point he probably got over it. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't traumatic. I'm not saying that still doesn't have impact on his life. But like at this point he has been through wars. And he's probably like, yeah, my parents died, but I used that as a motivation for me to be a better person. Like, are you seriously telling me that Batman would completely fuck over the universe and make a worse timeline just to keep his parents alive? Like, really? And not only that, like, his parents die later in the comic and he fixes kids because he fucking broke kids and he fixed him and he now has a working time machine. He can go back to any time he wants instead of being, oh, because I can't stop the Second World War. Oh, I can go back to the Industrial Revolution and stop kids from dying in fucking coal mines. He could go wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted. It's like, oh, I'm going to bring my parents back to life. Like, motherfucker, what is going on with this comic? I don't even blame Booster Gold for being so out of character, because I consider, like, Batman is so broken here that it broke the entire universe. You know, when you get a bug in your game that is so bad that it crashes the entire thing. I don't know why Booster Gold needs Batman to go back in time. Like, he's like, oh, because I'm going to convince Batman to go back in time and let his parents die. I'm going to bring Catwoman seduce. I don't know why he needs Batman to do this. I mean, I don't know why he needs Batman to fix kids. I don't know what's going on. But like, I just consider the fucking universe should be broken. It's just like, yeah, Batman is so fucked up that it's just derailed the entire thing. And the interesting thing about it is that, like, and it's not like just a story, a random story that you're supposed to ignore. It's because there's like Heroes in Crisis that follows up to that, which is insane because, like, it's a story about Booster Gold being in therapy. And look, if you're going to put Booster Gold in therapy, you can absolutely do that. I personally wouldn't, because a lot about the character is that he's isolated from the rest of people and nobody can know what his deal is because he needs to keep his time traveling stuff a secret. And I don't think he would trust an AI to have this information about him. But you could put him in therapy if you want to as a writer. But like, put him in therapy for stuff that he actually gives a shit about, you know? Like, he watched his friend die, he watched his sister die, he watched millions of people in Coast City die. He can't fucking do anything. He has no friends. When he died in 52, like, none of his friends showed up. A bunch of losers had to carry his coffin. Like, do stuff like that. Like, oh, I'm upset because Batman killed himself in front of me. I have a permanent stain in my glasses that I can't clean. Fucking, like, grow up, man. Who cares? Because apparently there's like 2 Booster Golds in this story. I don't understand why. Am I stupid? Probably. I don't have enough of an IQ to understand the machinations of Tom King's mind. But like, I assumed that when Booster Gold went back in time and Batman was there and remembering the things about his parents, I assumed that they both would return to the original timeline because he wants Batman to remember this, right? That's the entire point. He wants to remember the timeline that was fucked. But I don't know, there's another Batman in the timeline that's completely unaware of what's happening until Booster Gold explains it to him like a fucking idiot. But then when they're back in time and they make Batman's parents die, another Booster Gold joins in. I don't understand, like the Booster Gold that went back in time and saved Batman's parents is there and he doesn't save him right now because, oh yeah, I can see that you did the thing. Like, was Booster Gold supposed to die in this? Like the Booster Gold that saved the Batman's parents, was he supposed to disappear? He was like okay with that? Oh, I'm just going to fucking disappear. I don't know. I don't care about being a conscious being with thoughts and emotions. I'm just gonna fucking die, I guess, to give Batman his wedding gift. And the Booster Gold went back in time to save Batman's parents. See this and be like, oh, I already saved Batman's parents. I guess I just need to bring Batman over to the normal universe, normal timeline. But then there will be two Batmans there, just like there's two Booster Golds there. I don't fucking know. Let's take each of these Booster Golds. None of them will care that Batman killed himself. Like the Booster Gold that appeared later, that went back in time to save Batman's parents, and he's just watching the other Booster Gold and Batman like fight in the rooftop. I mean, to him, it's just like an alternate Batman. Like he didn't do anything. It's just like, oh, maybe the other Booster Gold who did this thing, maybe he fucked up. But I think that he would have enough detachment from this to not consider the other guy as him. Because, I mean, the other guy is supposed to die and disappear, right? And he's completely fine with that. I think this is just like assuming that they are both different people. And like, Batman kills himself in front of him, stains his glasses, but like, it's not his Batman. It's another Batman, and as I have previously explained, being from an alternate universe is not a deterrent to him. It's not something that he particularly cares about. I mean, as far as he knows, something went wrong with the gift, but that universe doesn't exist anymore. Like, that Batman never existed, so he can just bury the thing. I mean, maybe he fucked up at some point, but maybe he didn't. He doesn't know what the fuck he did. I think he would just be like, wow, that happened, and then he just move on with his life. Weirder things have happened to him, and he just accepted this. And should the Booster Gold that actually experienced everything, that actually stayed 3 years in the other universe, he will not give a shit if Batman fucking killed himself. Imagine you're in Booster Gold's situation. Imagine that your best friend, he died saving the world. And imagine that you're a time traveler, but you can actually make the world a better place. You can just keep the world exactly as it is. You can't make anything better. You can just keep it from getting worse. And this is something that actually bothers you. You actually went to Batman and talked about it. Like, yeah, man, I can't actually save people. I can just make things stay the same as they are. And Batman was like, yeah, but like, you're a good person. You are sacrificing yourself. If people need to believe that you're a stupid idiot, just do that. Like, I will be there for you. I'm going to talk to you. And Batman, by the way, was responsible for your best friend dying. But, you know, you consider him a friend now, and you're like, yeah, maybe I'll give him a chance of coming to terms with his parents' death, and that it happened for a good purpose, and I will give him a chance to make the world a better place, and universe a better place. Because he can accept his parents' death, and he can make the universe a better place. He can save the universe by accepting this grief and accepting it has a higher purpose. And when the chips are on the table, Batman has the chance of making a senseless death into a personal heroic sacrifice. He chickens out. He says, no, fuck you, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm going to become a selfish person. I'm going to keep my parents alive, even though the entire world is objectively worse in absolutely every way. Also, Ted Core died also in this universe, and I don't give a shit. Would you care if this Batman killed himself? Would you consider him a friend? Would you consider him someone that you valued, like his life meant something to you? Honestly, Booster Gold wouldn't care if this Batman unalived himself. He would be all for it. Fuck, if I were Booster Gold in the situation, I would kill Batman myself. The moment he got the fire poker, broke skin, I would turn his face into a bloody pulp. Like, he's not Batman's timeline. He doesn't have any kind of martial training, so you could just punch him in the face and just choke him. It's something that I would probably do. And then I would go back in time and do that to the real Batman just because of how pissed off I actually am. Like, I would do that. The fact that Booster Gold didn't, it makes him a fucking insane. So yeah, Booster Gold would not care if Batman died. He would not give a shit. He probably would despise Batman for the rest of his life. Yeah, so Heroes in Crisis is bad, but you already knew that. What I'm talking about, am I going to talk about Tom King? I'm going to be talking about every single comic that Booster Gold has showed up in. Am I going to be talking about, I don't know, fucking everything? Am I dancing around the issue? Oh boy, how I am dancing around the issue. I'm dancing, la-di-la. Look at how I dance, look at how I'm distracting you. So yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the shipping. So, Booster Gold and Ted Kord, what's up with that? Depends, really. Depends on what point in the timeline you're talking about, because their dynamics are very different depending on what the continuity is, what's going on. I mean, the New 52, Ted Kord doesn't even fucking exist, but we already talked about that. So people discuss this on the internet, and there's a lot of people that think, oh, because Booster Gold and Ted Kord, they aren't dating, they're not gay. And to that I say, yeah, you're right. They're not dating and they aren't gay. This is canon, guys. I'm sorry. When I started reading the original Booster Gold, I actually thought he was Arrow Ace. Like, I was reading him talking about women, and it honestly seemed like he only saw, like, having romantic relationships with them as a marketing strategy, or as a power move, try and show how great with women he is. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him look at a woman and say, oh man, I think she's hot, I would have sex with her. I don't think I've ever seen that. It might have happened because, as I have said, I haven't read every single Booster Gold story, but I think that the earliest thing I've seen about him, like, wanting to actually, like, date a woman was in Booster Gold 2007, when he said, oh, I have a Tinder date. So yeah, I don't think he is a very romantic guy. I don't think he would, like, go around dating people and being romantic, committed relationships with them, and that includes Ted Kord. Like, do you really see Booster Gold doing that? Like, dating someone, being in a committed, monogamical, exclusive relationship with them? Especially because he is a media whore, so he probably would date someone that is like a hot commodity, something that will give him, like, reputation, not fucking Blue Beetle. And you might be asking, well, he does get married, he does have a kid, and yeah, I think that's the exception that proves the rule, because it's fucking crazy. I don't think that he would do that. He actually tells this to Ted Kord, like, oh shit, you actually got married and had kids. I guess 15 years really does change a person. I think that the biggest proof of that is that they didn't even try to set up a new relationship with him. They didn't bother creating a new woman for him to date. They were like, yeah, the readers aren't going to swallow that. Let's just pick a woman that's already in his life and go through that so that the fans aren't going to need to hate on her. But when you actually take a look at Booster Gold's comics and see the women that are there that could potentially get married to him, there's not a lot to choose from. I mean, there is the secretary, the Trixie lady, that she had some things with him, to the point that she was closer to him in the sister's funeral, and that got retconned to be Ted Kord, hilariously enough. But she was trying to get to know him better. She did like him, but then they decided to make her date the agent before he became an android that hunts superheroes and stole his money because of a of a comic mandated crossover, then she never showed up again. I mean, you can't have any of the superheroes because I don't think any of his superheroes workmates are interested in him. You could have the lady that disappeared from Flashpoint. I have no idea what happened to her. You could have his sister, but even if DC was willing to do a Sweet Home Alabama on that one, which I sincerely doubt, it wouldn't work because it has been established that the mother and the sister are two different people. So when you look at the selection, like, yeah, I think that the secretary is the best choice. I think that it kind of proves the point. He will not do that. They're just grasping at straws here. And Ted Korn is canonically straight. He is. In the JLI, they go into his mind, there's only beautiful women there, not a guy inside. But admittedly, this is an easy fix. You could just retcon it or say that he was in the closet, so deep that his subconscious didn't even know it. And like the rebirth version might not even be the same guy. Like, oh, this version now is bi or whatever. You could retcon this very easily. But that Card would not date Booster Gold even if he was interested in men. The thing that a lot of people miss about Booster Gold and Blue Beetle is that while they have the same temperament, they are very different people. Like, Booster Gold is a very ambitious guy. He wants to be a hero. He fucking stole shit, went back in time to be a hero. He loves being a hero. He loves saving people. He loves appearing on nets. He loves when people recognize him as a hero. But Ted Kord didn't choose to be a hero. Like, he didn't even choose the name Blue Beetle. He didn't went like, oh, I wanna be Blue Beetle, and then he made the suit and made all his crap, and then he went to fight crime. No, it was a duty that was given to him by the previous Blue Beetle, Dan Garrett. I've read Birds of Prey, the parts where he shows up, and he has like a really bad heart problem. He had like 3 heart attacks that he didn't even notice. And he's like, no, I'm going to need to stop being Blue Beetle. I'm going to stop doing this. I need to focus on my company. I need to do other shit. But he keeps being Blue Beetle, not because he wants to, but because he has to. Because if he doesn't do anything, people are going to suffer. People are going to die. There's like a scene where he and Barbara are like in the bug and they're looking at a train caught on fire on the bridge. Like, no, it's okay. The bridge is secure, the bridge safe, the firefighters are there, no need for us to intervene. There's like a kid still on the train. Like, no, it's okay. The firefighters are gonna get him. It's gonna be fine. But then they just like, oh fucking Christ, I need to get my Blue Beetle suit. And then he goes and he fucking like gets this Blue Beetle suit and saves the fucking kid. He doesn't want to be Blue Beetle. It's a duty that he has. Blue Beetle comes with an actual real sacrifice to him. Not like Batman. Batman is just, oh, I am Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask. I am Batman. I am the Knight. I am a crime fighter. And I don't care about the cost of life. Like, Blue Beetle is like an actual just like normal guy. He cares about what's costing him. Like, he had his company and the entire thing eroded because he was too busy Blue Beetling. Everyone in the jail is like, oh, why isn't Blue Beetle serious? Why does he keep trying to get schemes to get money? Because fucking Blue Beetle likes money. He wants to buy shit. He's like a guy. He's doing the Blue Beetle stuff because people need him. But he wants to do other shit too. He's just like a human person. And the reason he wouldn't date Booster Gold is because they are fundamentally different people. Like, what the comics describe as the greatest love of his life is actually Barbara Gordon, which is literally the opposite of Booster Gold in almost every way. Barbara is a person that is very private and people don't even know that she's Oracle, and she likes tech stuff, that gives a lot of subject for her and Ted to talk about, and she is really behind the scenes and coordinating stuff, and Ted realizes how important that is to you to be behind the scenes and actually offering support to other people, not being in the limelight. That's the kind of person that Ted would want to tie his life to. He would not be in a monogamical exclusive relationship with Booster Gold. He would absolutely not. And what would a romantic relationship like dating even give to them that they don't already have? They're already best friends, really close, saved each other's asses multiple times, already pretty committed to each other. What would dating even give them that they don't already have? Would they buy each other chocolates, send each other romantic playlists on Spotify? Like, get fucking real. So yeah, they are not dating. They wouldn't date. They probably never will date. But of course, that doesn't mean that they didn't have gay sex, because let's be real, they totally have. It's weird talking about this kind of shit when it comes to Detective Comics, because when you talk about comic books, the thing you picture is a bunch of perverts doing a bunch of pervert shit. Like, you go read Detective Comics and all of the heroines are wearing these skin-tight suits, boobs out. You have the concept of Power Girl that literally has a boob window on her chest, and the male heroes are all really strong, and a lot of them have multiple sexual relationships with even villains. Like, Batman just like flung his dick everywhere. Then you have Wonder Woman that was created by a guy that was really into BDSM, and you have all this fucking pervert shit, and then Detective Comics comes and says, yeah, nobody in the DC universe masturbates. Heroes don't do oral. Like, what the fuck? Like, I get it, comics are for kids can't read about sex, like, I get it, but they go so far over the line to even deny the possibility. When you think about it, superhero groups would, like, be fucking each other constantly. You know when people say that in the Olympic villages, people are just constantly having sex, you need like a gigantic supply of condoms, because you're putting the world's most fittest people in multiple areas of sports, in multiple countries, in a single place, and they're all super tense because of competition, and there's obviously like a bunch of sex going on. I think that superhero teams are kind of like that, and you also have the added bonus of the really hot, sexy, fit people around you also being your closest friends that you will trust your life to, and also the constant presence of the possibility of glad to be alive sex. How is the Justice League not having weekly orgies? Is this something that people actually think, that people don't have sex in the DC universe? You really think that the Martian Manhunter never turned into a bimbo to raise morale? Like, you live in a fucking dream world. And honestly, I don't think that even like sexual attraction comes into it. This may be me being a flaming asexual, but you do not need to be sexually attracted to someone to have sex with them. I mean, I would fuck Plastic Man. I'm not attracted to him at all. I don't even know if he would be good in bed, but like, can you imagine what it would be like? I just wanna like see, like, what would happen, man? That would be fucking crazy. It's just plain old curiosity. Like, the Flash apparently can vibrate every part of his body. Can you imagine what it would be like? I would totally do it. I'm not even attracted to any of these people. I would do it. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Superbuddies and Blue Beetle. I mean, even if those guys aren't attracted to each other, even if they are the straightest men on the planet, they would absolutely have sex. The problem with you gringos is that you do not understand the concept of broderagem, which is essentially an untranslatable Brazilian word, but it's the feeling of kissing your homies goodnight, except it's more sexual than that. Like, if your friend, your best friend's feeling down, you gotta give him a handy, you know, to raise morale, to make him feel better. You know what they say, a glass of water and a blowjob, you can't deny that to anyone. So yeah, they probably had sex. A lot of I've seen a lot of people online saying shit like, oh, I mean, maybe they had sex and just found out that they didn't really like it and they're better as friends. Yeah, and yeah, I can see that happening too. Like, but we can agree that they would be close enough to at least have tried once, right? The dynamics of them would depend on whatever point in the timeline you're talking about, because there are multiple points in which they could have fucked. But if I were to point out one specific event when I am absolutely sure that they were exploring each other's bodies, it would have to be Extreme Justice. There is no way they didn't do anything. Let's imagine the following situation. Like, Booster Gold spent 1 year trapped in a life support suit that he couldn't get out. And he misses doing stuff with his body. And he actually says that in the comic, oh, I want to test my body. So he recovers his entire health after spending 1 year in a life support suit without being able to take it out. Of course he would want to have sex. That enough would be a reason for Ted Core to do something to him, because, I mean, when your best friend goes to a new house, you give them a housewarming gift. If your friend gets married, you give them a wedding gift. And if your friend gets a new body, you give them an orgasm. That's a polite thing to do. But then you actually see through the side of Ted Core, and there's more going on than that. Because Ted Core does feel guilty for Booster staying in the suit for 1 year, that he can figure a way to get him out of there. And every time that he goes out with another guy that's their friend, like, oh my god, I'm so guilty because I should be working on Booster Gold's suit. And he feels guilty when Booster Gold goes to Monarch to recover his body, because like, oh, because it was my fault, because I didn't work hard enough. And he was really worried when Booster Gold become like a fucking monster because of all the shit that doesn't matter. He would feel a lot of relief that Booster Gold's a normal guy. He would probably have to do a lot of exams, see if everything's really okay. And those would be very sexually tense. You're just getting stethoscope in your BFF's back, that perfect muscular back that you were trying to recover, and seeing that everything is perfect just as it used to be. They absolutely did. I would bet money on this if I could. But not talking about gay sex, what is their relationship actually like? Because I actually think that it's really interesting. I mean, I did an entire 1 hour explanation of everything that happened, and Blue Beetle was present in like 90% of it. They are very important to each other. And I think that it's really interesting because it wasn't planned at all. Like, this is the part where I defend the JLI, because I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh man, the JLI was bad, everyone was a moron, they didn't do anything, we can't take any of the characters seriously, they ruined the reputation of Blue Beetle.
Keith Giffen said that Blue Beetle was just so derivative a character, and the name itself so silly, that you couldn't take him seriously. Well, it's hard to take someone seriously when you turn them into a joke!
Motherfucker, what Blue Beetle reputation? Nobody cares about Ted Core. Nobody gave a shit, especially before the JLI. Like, it was so bad that Alan Moore wanted to write Watchmen, and he wanted to put Blue Beetle in there as the guy that was a washout that really missed when he was a superhero and a big shot and now can have orgasms. That is what he wanted to do. A lot of people say like, oh, because they ruined the reputation of the characters. But as I have explained before, like, for you to actually develop the characters, they need to not be the person that they end up becoming in the end. So if you wanted to develop Booster Gold as being a very competent hero by the end, so you need to show him not being as competent in the first place, and the JLI was a comedy, and it was a perfect place to do so, because Booster Gold could do stupid shit without actually being really dramatic and causing a lot of harm for other people, you know? You could just do sitcom shit and everything would be fine in the end. And with Blue Beetle, that also applies. The thing about them staring in a completely different genre from the rest of the superhero stuff, being like really funny and being more of a sitcom than actually being a superhero comic, is that it actually gave a lot of depth for these characters. And a lot of people say, oh, because Blue Beetle is now a fucking joke, nobody fucking cares about Blue Beetle. But like, nobody cared about him before that. I mean, he was just a character that Charlton did and wasn't willing to print anymore. And now he became a character that people actually enjoy reading because he's fun. It's kind of weird talking about superhero characters because superhero comic fans are so weird. They're like, oh, because people need to respect my character, people need to know how powerful he is, we need to do matchups where my character wins because he has powers and he's powerful, or he has prep time because he's really smart. But honestly, having a character that's just fun it's just as valid, man. Like, you don't need to have every single character be a fucking badass that does a lot of cool shit. You can just have a character that's enjoyable to read. You may not like the JLI because it's too jokey and people don't respect the characters, but turning Blue Beetle into a comedic duo with Booster Gold was a completely valid decision. It's just not for you. It's just not for your taste because you would rather read something else, which is valid, but I like it. But then you go to Countdown to Infinite Crisis and he bites him in the ass because he wants people to take him seriously because there is like this fucking conspiracy going on and nobody believes him. I think what's funny about Countdown to Infinite Crisis is that Ted Kord's death and people saying that it was a sacrifice that he did because he was a true hero is just the superhero community just huffing amazing amounts of copium. Because Ted Kord's death was essentially useless. Because the thing is that he discovered this amazing conspiracy that is going to kill all the superheroes, going to bring the end of the world, but Batman already knows. He already knows what's going on. Batman has Brother Eye, the satellite that he created. He knows the satellite. He is keeping his eyes on checkmate, and he already has a spy on there that's already telling him everything that's going on. And he doesn't bother telling Ted this. Ted comes around and says, hey, there's like a super big conspiracy. I think that is going to affect the world. Instead of Batman just saying, hey, I can't tell you a lot about this, but I have a spy there. I'm taking care of it. He just goes, oh, whatever, I'm gonna look into it. Just go away. And then Ted goes and finds out stuff that Batman already knew. And he doesn't even like tell the superhero community what's going on. Like, he dies, and because he died, Wonder Woman and Booster Gold question Batman about it, and Batman tells everyone, which the entire thing could have been fucking avoided. And it wasn't like a sacrifice. It wasn't like he saw a villainous guy going around like, oh, I'm the only one who can stop him. I will sacrifice my life to do so, and then he goes and stops the villain, but he dies. That would be a sacrifice. That would be a heroic sacrifice. But fucking Blue Beetle didn't want to die. He didn't go into the castle expecting to get shot in the head. He wanted to get out of there alive. He just wanted to figure out what was going on and leave. He didn't like sacrifice himself. As I have established, his death didn't really accomplish anything, but also he didn't sacrifice himself. He just fucked up. He fucked up, got shot in the head, and the entire hero community is like, oh man, he was a heroic death, he was a heroic sacrifice, let's honor it. And I think that nobody in the hero community ever talked about it, because not only did they not want to make light of Ted Kord's death, we like, yeah, this entire thing could have been avoided, but also they're trying to cover up the fact that, you know, they themselves might die a pointless death, and they don't want to think about it. Be like, yeah, man, when we die in the line of duty, it's for the good cause. We are heroic heroes. We are sacrificing each other, and it's just huffing amazing amounts of copium. It was kind of like the Chernobyl disaster, because a lot of stuff went wrong and they're just trying to cover it up. But I think that DC Comics knew what they were doing, because, I mean, Infinity Crisis was when the fucking, like, parallel universe Superman showed up like, yeah, this entire universe sucks, I'm gonna punch reality, and it was all, and they just recognized that the entire thing was fucked, and they were like, yeah, okay, so our superheroes are fucking broken, let's go to 52 and let's make them have a sabbatical to think things over again. But also Booster Gold knows the amount of shit that they're peddling, because he knows that Batman could have just stopped the entire thing. And I think that that's part of the reason why in 52 he's such a selfish asshole, because he has seen what heroes are like and he doesn't want a part of that. He doesn't want to have a senseless death like that Cord. He doesn't want to try to do good things and have everyone just looking down on him and forcing him to go to a fucking castle in the middle of nowhere and die with a cat shot, and everyone being like, oh man, he died a true hero, he was a sacrifice, he was sacrificing himself for the greater good. He doesn't fucking want that. Like, nobody wants that. That Core didn't want that. And I think he recognizes this, and that's why he became a selfish asshole. But here's the interesting thing. While the Ted Core death in Countdown to Infinite Crisis wasn't a heroic death, his death in Booster Gold 2007 was. And it's kind of interesting because he wasn't really a big hero, but Booster Gold helped him become one. Because Ted Cord could have been alive. Ted Cord could have just enjoyed his life in a post-traumatic crisis. Hell, Booster Gold even says, well, we can go back in time again to try to fix the situation. Ted Cord says, no, I recognize that I have to die, and I don't want to die. I don't want to leave you alone, but I recognize that I have to. I recognize that I need to do the sacrifice for the greater good. And he did that. Nobody knows, but Booster Gold made Ted Cord into the hero that everyone is huffing copium to try to pretend he was. The thing about Booster Gold and Ted Cord is that they aren't the best people in the world, but they help each other become better people. For all of Ted Cord's faults, that he doesn't actually want to be the Blue Beetle, he does a lot of jokes, he has a very low self-esteem, he's not the best at anything. He is a truly selfless person that became a hero for other people because other people needed him to be this hero. Because Dan Garrett needed him to become the next Blue Beetle, because people are constantly in danger and he needs to save them. He is a truly selfless individual in that sense, even if he would rather be doing something else. And while Booster Gold can be a very selfish person, he can be looking for more incentives, he wants more resources, he wants to be more rich, he wants to be more famous, he always steps up to do the things that he's required to do. Like, Ted Cord does point out that Booster Gold probably knows about Doomsday because it was a really big event, killed Superman, but Booster Gold took a punch from Doomsday anyway, even though Doomsday was able to kill Superman, because he is like truly a brave person. He has the confidence to go in there and stop crimes from happening. He has the confidence to want to inspire people and just do whatever he can to be a hero. He doesn't have a duty to be a hero. Like, when his armor breaks, he could stop being a hero. Like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna be a civilian now. But he wants his armor fixed, and he wants to keep being a hero. And he has the drive to actually want to do this. So both of them incentivize each other to become better, because Booster tries to get Blue Beetle to be more confident in himself, show him that he does have what it takes to be a hero. And Blue Beetle incentivizes Booster Gold to be a better person, to be truly selfless. He is a selfless hero that Booster Gold can aspire to be. But as much as they help each other to become better people, as much as they are true great friends, as much as they are genuinely better when they're together, they're not endgame. Like, they're not going to end up together. They're not improving each other for each other's sake, because they are superheroes and they recognize that there are sacrifices that need to be made that include your own life. You expect to die in battle, like you go into a alien crisis, an invasion, like you might die, you know this, but you go there anyway. For example, Lois Lane dies. You don't expect her to die. That's why Superman becomes crazy. He does a tyrannical bullshit, injustice. Coast City gets destroyed. You don't expect a hero's homeland to get destroyed, millions of people dying. So, Hal Jordan becomes paralyzed, becomes crazy, fucking does a bunch of bullshit. But when Blue Beetle dies, it is kind of expected. He knew the risks and he died trying to save people. Like, Booster Gold has to come to terms with this, and he does. It just starts mourning him like, I don't know, a fucking normal person. He doesn't fucking go insane and try to reset reality. Like, he goes back in time to try to save him, but then he just accepts that he can't. It's just a thing that you gotta accept. And that's what makes it tragic. That's what makes it dramatic. That's what makes it good. Because you have the inherent tragedy of having someone that completely fits you right next to you, but you know that this isn't going to last. That you might die or reset the universe, but like you're there for each other anyway. Do you think that Cord died happy? I'm not talking about the first time that Max shot him in the head. I mean, he obviously didn't want to die, but when he came back in time after Booster Gold saved him and he went back in time to die again, do you think he died happily? Because, I mean, he knew that his death had purpose. He knew that he was saving his friend. He knew that he was saving the world, and he wasn't dying in vain. But on the other hand, in Countdown to Infinite Crisis, it shows that Blue Beetle didn't have a lot of self-esteem. It shows that he didn't really know if he was doing good for the world. He actually considers activating the magic scarab on him because he thinks that if he has powers, he would do better things. And when he dies, his last thoughts are like, man, was I a good Blue Beetle? Did I do justice to the Blue Beetle legacy? Is the next Blue Beetle going to be better than me? I hope it is. He or she becomes better than me. But when Booster Gold saves him, he understands that there are people there that love him, that wants him to survive, that like Booster Gold does say that the world would be a better place if Ted Cord were alive. And that's not true, but people genuinely believe that. And there are people that want him to stay alive and that value him and that respect him. Like when he meets Jaime, and Jaime's like, oh man, try to become a great Blue Beetle just like you. And he knows that there are people that respect him, and maybe he's more unwilling to let that go, when he was staring at the gun that was going to kill him. Maybe the second time he truly understood what he was losing and he will never have again. Of course, Detective Comics rebooted the entire thing into the New 52, which made Ted's sacrifice completely pointless. Like, if the universe is gonna get rebooted anyway, none of this matters. The Booster Gold might as well hopped into the time capsule, gone back in time, saved that Cord, and then went to the apocalypse, got a bunch of food, locked him and Blue Beetle in a bunker, spent 3 years having gay sex. Nothing would change. The universe got rebooted anyway. Nothing fucking matters. So yeah, but talking about New 52, we're ignoring that, especially when we're talking about Ted Kord and Booster Gold, because Ted Kord doesn't even fucking exist in New 52. I say a lot that nobody cares about Ted Kord, and that is obviously a joke, but I mean, in a vein, that is true, because DC didn't care enough to keep him around, just erased him. I'm still fucking pissed that this happened. Like, who did this? There's a joke that says that the real difference between Detective Comics and Marvel is that Marvel editors are tyrants and DC editors are stupid. And honestly, that tracks. That tracks. But enough talking about New 52, nobody cares. What about later? In Rebirth, Ted Kord's alive. I think that it's actually interesting because Ted Kord's most impactful thing that he ever did was die. That's the most important thing about his character. That's what he does, like, in every universe. He fucking dies.
I think there's more.
Right, I guess that settles it.
Wait a second, I think that it's still going.
How many people killed this guy?
And DC just decided, no, we're going to keep him alive. There are better things he can do to this character. I think we milked his death enough. And I can agree with that. I think that would be really interesting. And I don't know if the pre-New 52 thing is going to be canon, like the whole Booster Gold thing about time travel and Ted Kord dying is canon. I think it is because, I mean, they did a Blue and Gold book and, like, Booster's old secretary is there and he is time traveling. And they talk about the JLI. I think that the pre-New 52 stuff is still canon. So, yeah, I think that we can talk about this as being part of the timeline, I guess, but let's not think about it very hard. I mean, let's not talk about continuity here. We're not gonna be able to figure this out. So what happens to the Blue and Gold dynamic post-Rebirth? Well, it switches. Now Ted Kord is revered as being a hero. He has a legacy in the form of Jaime, the new Blue Beetle. He has a legacy that he can keep alive, and he's training Jaime to do a good job. Like, he is respected as a hero. Jaime respects him, the other heroes respect him, and Booster Gold is a nobody. He needs to be a failure. He needs to keep his image of a failure in order to be a good time traveler, so people don't suspect that he's a time traveler and try to kill him as a baby. You need to keep that image. So they are essentially switched. Like, now Booster Gold is the complete loser that doesn't give a shit about his reputation. He doesn't care about it. And Blue Beetle is the guy that has a legacy and everything. And there's a point in Blue and Gold where the Justice League actually tells him, hey, we want you in the Justice League, but we don't want Booster Gold because he's annoying, we don't like him, he's we can't take him seriously, but you're useful, you are smart, we want you in the Justice League. And then Ted Kord's like, no, fuck you, I'm out of here, I'm going to be best pals, best buds with my BFF, and we're going to do a lot of great shit together if you don't respect him, so I walk. So it's interesting. I really want to see more of this dynamic going on because their places are completely switched. So I think that Ted Kord as a character, he is more interesting as a secondary character anyway. Like, when you get characters that have their own books and stuff, I don't think he can carry. Like, I didn't have that much fun reading the solo Ted Kord Blue Beetle books, and I think that he works best as a secondary character anyway. I always liked imagining him as a kind of crazy engineer, you know, just doing a bunch of crazy shit, like, yeah, I'm gonna make a flying bug, yeah, I'm gonna make a gun. He's just doing a bunch of crazy shit and just having fun, being an inventive guy, and he's, you know, giving support to Jaime and Booster. I think that he works better as that, and, you know, doing jokes, doing quips. Booster can carry his own book, as this entire video proves. I love him. I would read a solo book by him. And he would have like a great relationship with that card. Like DC clearly wants to do things with that. That's why he isn't dead yet. So it would be interesting to see their relationship. They already did the Blue and Gold book. That was really fun. They let Tom King use Blue Beetle in the Heroes in Crisis. They could do more things with their relationship. I think that at this point, I think there's probably some psychosexual shit going on, because, I mean, imagine yourself in the following situation. You have a very close friend or someone from your family, or maybe even a lover, someone that you really care about, and while you are hanging out with them, you don't really think about how this one day might end, because we as humans, we aren't wired to keep constantly thinking about death, you know, because it stresses us out. So you don't really appreciate them fully. You have fun and it's fine, but when they die or enter a coma or disappear and you don't have them in your life anymore, you start thinking, man, there are so many things about them that I didn't really notice, but I miss a lot, you know. I miss their smell, I miss their laugh, I miss how they would always be there for me. And there was this time where I couldn't go with them to a bar because I had to do something else. I should have stayed by their side, and you're just missing them a lot. And you're grieving, it's normal. And then they come back, like they get resurrected or something, and you're like, oh man, they're back, I'm really happy. And you still have those things that you were missing in your mind. You spend a lot of time thinking about it, actually, and now that they're back, you're absolutely overwhelmed with it, because you now know that they might die and disappear one day, and you want to enjoy all those things that you enjoyed about them before, maybe more, but you also know that you can't be really selfish about it. Like this person, they came back and they don't know exactly how you missed them, and you can't really just dump those complex emotions in them. And you should be grateful they're just there. They should just be grateful that they're alive. You can't really demand that much from the situation, right? You're just grateful that they exist, and you might talk to them again one day. But then they die or disappear again, and you're like, oh man, I could have done more of them. I ignored my feelings. I should have taken the chance when I could. Because our time was limited and I knew that, but I didn't do that anyway. Like, it would fuck you up, right? If a person that you cared about constantly ends up disappearing and reappearing in your life, right? It would fuck you up. Booster Gold had to deal with that card's death 4 times. Canonically, 4 times. It probably fucked him up a little bit. Do you really think that when he's hanging out with that card, he's not, like, completely normal about it, right? He's probably a little strange. He has this thing in his head, like he might die one day again. I mean, even if you don't consider his death to be canon in Rebirth, he still went in a coma. There was like a bunch of shit that happened. Like, he might die one day. I mean, I almost died also with the fucking like armor thing. Like, we have very limited time together, and we should be enjoying every second deeply, like, in relation to each other. He probably like a little fucked up about that. He would be. And then you get to the dead card side of things, and he died because nobody was there for him except for maybe Wonder Woman, but that wasn't that much. She was just like, I believe you, keep me informed, didn't even do anything. The one person that stuck by you till the end was Booster Gold. He was always there for you, even when you were about to die, and then he brought you back. Like, you would have, like you would be aware of that, right? He probably would be a little resentful that Batman just let him fucking die like that. The entire superhero society just didn't take him seriously, and Booster Gold was literally the only person there and could have avoided his death if he didn't blow up, or if Ted Kord was patient enough to wait for him. That would fuck you up a little bit. Like, this one guy was the only person that stood by you literally all the time, right? Like, it would be weird. It would be interesting to see that. It's the situation now. They are in Rebirth. I don't think they're going to kill Ted because, I mean, there was the beach volleyball issue. They're apparently going to be friends for a long time. So should this make them canon? No! Absolutely not! They should not make this canon. What, are you guys fucking crazy? Are you really trusting Detective Comics with this? Fuck, man, they even ignoring that they erased Ted Kord from New 52 because they don't give a shit about Ted Kord? Like, do you know how much DC fucks up queer relationships? Holy fuck. I mean, I'm not even saying that all of this was DC's fault, because I know you guys, I know how fucking annoying you are. You can't show two sexy ladies in a somewhat sexual, suggestive position. If it doesn't have 10 pages of foreplay, then it's sexualizing. Okay, let's make something clear here. If Booster Gold and Ted Kord actually becomes a couple and becomes canon, it would be solely for the pleasure of their fans. Like, they don't need it to be canon. They already have a lot of shit going on that is really great. They already have a great relationship, great moments. They don't need it to be canon. The only reason they would make this canon is because the fans want it and want to see them. And like, oh, Laura, but you're shipping two men together, you're objectifying them. Yeah, I am, because they are objects. They're not actual real people. You do understand them, right? They are characters that were created to entertain people, and having them in a gay relationship would be entertaining. A lot of the official gay couples are really boring. Like, it's actually really interesting because there are two pairs of Robin and Superboy couples that people ship, which is Tim Drake and Connor, and Damian with John. And they made a Robin and a Superboy bis, but they didn't make any of these couples. Like, Tim is bi and John is bi. It's not, they didn't make any of the couples date each other or even be bisexual together. It was really funny. Now Tim dates a guy named Bernard. It's genuinely like hilarious. But there is also the fact that DC does fuck up queer relationships in the uniquely DC way. Like having in their Pride issue, Damian wanting to tear gas like a pride parade. Like, oh, but maybe Damian doesn't know what Pride is. He does. He knows what Pride is. He knows that it's in celebration of the Stonewall riot, when a bunch of queer people that were being persecuted by the government and by the police, they rebelled because of their rights. They know. That's why Damian brought the tear gas. So I absolutely do not trust DC to handle this couple, and I don't know why you would, honestly. I genuinely think that if they became canon, they would become worse, because the thing about gay people in mainstream media, created by corporations that are seeking for profits, that they need to become the most inoffensible thing possible, because they don't want to offend people, and also they can't really be in your face because they don't want to lose money from homophobes. So it would just restrain them a lot. The friendship between them would become worse if if DC actually made them canon, because they would have a lot more restrictions than they already have. And if I were to choose like a gay couple to become canon, like Bluegold would not be my first choice. I don't understand why the fuck isn't Fire and Ice canon? Like, how do you do this? How do you not have them be canon? How did this happen? So yeah, I don't think they should become canon. They just do their own thing, honestly. Give them to a good writer to write the greatest romance of all time. I will be here for it. So I don't know how to end this video because I mean, I don't really think there's much of a point in it. I'm just rambling about things that I like for what, 3 hours? And there doesn't need to be a point to it anyway, does it? I mean, you're just probably tired and want this to end. So I'm just going to end up saying I will be watching the Booster Gold series. I want to see what happens, and I will absolutely complain about it if it sucks. But you know, part of the fun of being a comic book reader, especially a superhero comic book reader, is ignoring everything that you don't want to acknowledge and just erase them from your mind. We don't need Superbuddies. We don't need everything that Tom King has written. I can just live in my wonderful world where the cherry-picked moments that I like are the only thing that matter. And I'm going to wait until they release more comics with my golden boy. And I do wish the writers of DC good luck in writing good stories. I can't wait to read them. And honestly, I will not be able to do your job. You guys have a lot of respect for me. Even Tom King, by the way. But I was very harsh on him, and I do think he deserves that, but I will not be able to do his job. Like, I would rather douse myself in gasoline and set myself on fire than being the solo writer of a big DC comic. Because can you imagine, like, you can't even write whatever you want. You have the editors fucking like telling you that you can't do shit, and you need to pay attention to continuity and what other writers are doing, and then suddenly they say, hey, you need to cross over with this fucking stupid event that we're doing because we want to increase comic sales, and then you have to incorporate that, and then people on the internet that have 800 subscribers do 2-hour videos about how much your writing sucks, and everyone yells at you on Twitter. I will not be able to handle that. I will not. You guys have my respect, even if your writing is bad. So, good luck. If DC wants to hire me as a consultant to make a Bluegold canon and gay, I am here. My DMs are open, but let's be honest, they probably won't do that, because if they wanted to make Bluegold canon, they would have already. They're just gonna have to settle with Teen Titans Go. Yeah, it's canon in Teen Titans Go.